Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Yeah, baby! It's Monday morning. Hello, America. It is great to be with you. Happy Monday to everybody that is not a fan of the cursed franchise that is the Buffalo Bills. Good morning, America. Welcome in. Great to have you. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This, friends, family, countrymen, is, of course, the Fan Upstate. The pleasure exclusively mine. My name is Rob Brown, adorned as he should be, as he has every right to be today, as Patrick Mahomes once again sends just Josh home. By the way, it's not just on Josh. We're going to come to that. I'm ready for the headbutting that will occur. Doesn't matter how and why. All that matters is that Buffalo at the house was not good enough. And for the 10,000th time in a row, our Kansas City Chiefs are headed back to the AFC title game. Still, in his entire career, Patrick Mahomes has not missed an AFC title game. Everything was set up for Josh Allen to earn a few more Joshes and a few more Allens last night on the name, and he did everything in his power to get it done. But a combination of Stephon Diggs, Sean McDermott, and Tyler Bass undid all of those efforts, and the Bills come up just a bit shy. Lonzo adorned in the red, white, and gold today.
I am so curious, and I haven't read or seen because I went to bed after the game. Did McDermott call that fake punt? Because the mood changed after that. After they went for the fake punt, it didn't work. Then things started to fall apart a little bit more. Receivers started dropping the ball. Of course, we had the missed kick, but they were talking about the wind all day on that game. You would think the guy who actually kicks in the stadium would understand that. But Bucker, one thing about him is he's got that killer leg, and he can force it through hurricane gale winds.
The fake punt, from what I understand, was an on-field call from the players because Kansas City only had 10 guys on the field. So once whoever it is, usually it's your up back guy. Once the teams are set, usually your up back's going to count guys. And he's going to say, all right, we're overloaded this side, that side. If he needs to tell the punter, all right, you need to shift right or shift left in response to an overload.
Field position has to come into play before you make that decision, doesn't it?
I mean, listen, they're football players on a football field.
It worked out for them, though. It worked out for them because of the fumble through the end zone. So
yeah, but at the same time, it didn't, because if you punt that ball and you back Mahomes back up, that punt could have, theoretically, if you execute it, that punt could have pinned Mahomes and company down inside the 10, inside the 5-yard line, if you hit it right. And it's a big ask. But from what I understand, there were 10 Chiefs on the field. The up back counted. Damar Hamlin, by the way, was the guy who did it. And apparently said, oh, we got 11, they got 10. We can account for everybody. Oh, and there's a punt returner back. So technically, we got 11. They got 9 up front. I'm going to tell you right now, and this is, you guys know I do not like phrases like this. I hate the, if you can't X, then you don't deserve to win. If you can't Y, you don't deserve to win. I think they're cliche, and I think they take out of account just how much happens on a football field during a game. But there's an easy one for me. Zoe, if you've got 11 and they've got 9 and you can't beat them, you don't deserve to win. And that's what it was.
Yeah, I think that was a turning point of the game because it was back and forth the entire time. And technically, the Bills had the edge because they were getting to go ahead first. And then when that changed, it could have been it may have not have come down to a field goal if not for that fumble through the end zone, because then the Chiefs are up by 10.
Yeah.
And,
no, it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And for the record, let's talk about for just a second, that was atrocious play calling, execution, and time management by Buffalo. All right. You got to go one of two ways. All right. You're either playing for the end zone, clock be damned. hey, if we give it back to Mahomes with 2.5 minutes left, so be it. We'd rather give him it with 2.5 minutes and we have the lead, or you tic-tac your way down the field and you burn the clock up, right? You don't, and you get that thing as
which
close
is
as
what
you
they
can.
had done the entire game. Time of possession, the Bills had the ball the majority of the game.
For 3.5 quarters, the Bills owned the offensive line. I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot of folks that have been pointing out, well, Josh Allen only had 169 yards of passing. Well, there are two things that play into that. Number one, hey, Stephon Diggs, remember the whole thing where you were begging out and your brother was tweeting out about how they were wasting you, and remember how you wanted more money and more opportunity? Were you thinking about that last night when Josh Allen was dropping dimes into the breadbasket from 50 down the field, that all you had to do was make a catch and it's a game-changing catch, and you were putting him on the turf? Quick question. Did all of that go through your mind in that moment, or did you miss that? Because it kind of seems like you missed it, right? The second reason that Josh Allen had only $169 through the air is for 2.5 quarters, Buffalo was pounding the rock on the ground, and it was effective. It was working. That's why Josh Allen had 2 rushing touchdowns and not 2 passing touchdowns, because Buffalo was owning the line of scrimmage. And then for whatever reason, the deeper we got into the game, Sean McDermott lost his damn mind. And all of a sudden, the Bills that were owning the LOS the entire game are like, hey, what if we started just air assaulting Kansas? Like, no, dude, that's the thing they're built to stop. You have been doing the right thing all game. Why do you stop at the end? I'll never get that. So you get the ball. You're down 3.
By the way, it's panic. That's what
it's panic.
It's definitely panic. You get you outcoached yourself.
Yeah, I agree entirely. There comes a point in the game where one of the reasons Andy Reid is great at what he does is because he's the walrus for a full 60. There's no point where he breaks down. Sean McDermott lost his mind. So you get the ball. You've got a handful of minutes left to play. You're down 3. Even if you've decided you can't get over that guy.
I feel so mean.
You really should. You're bullying that poor guy.
I'm not bullying. I'm just laughing.
There's that. If you didn't see it, if you didn't stay and watch the end of the game, there was a Bills fan in the crowd that had his big South Park beanie on, and they went to him, and he's just pulling the beanie down over his face. Lonzo has not stopped laughing at that guy since I got here.
My wife gave me a look like, "Are you?" I was like, "I can't help it."
Yeah.
It's because of Tony Romo and everybody. By the way, my wife is like, "Could we please find another way?" I'm tired of hearing about Tony Romo, just Josh Allen, because that's all he was doing the entire time, and he felt reluctant to say anything positive about the Chiefs.
No. I'm gonna push back on that.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not.
No.
Dude,
Tony Romo sucks. No. He's horrible. He needs to be off TV.
There's 2.5 minutes left, and he's sitting there gushing. He's like, yo, even if the Bills hit this, he's Patrick Mahomes. Like, what do you? No.
He's a front runner. He finally decided, oh yeah, Patrick Mahomes is on the field, and decided to talk about him when he knew the Bills were losing.
I think at the risk of upsetting one of my favorite people in America, that is Miss Lisa, who ranks on the right. So power rankings, she's number 1.
Oh, I agree with that.
And you're like you and the kids fighting for second.
Oh no, right? Man, I'm last.
I'm
good with that.
It's like Miss Lisa, Pappy, then you and the kids on the right side. Power
I would put the granddaughter second, but that's fair. That's a grandpa thing.
Point here is, at the risk of upsetting Miss Lisa, of who I am a dear fan, I think if you went into that game believing that's who Romo was, that's what you got away from it. I didn't at all. I think him and Nance were both very much enamored.
You know what it
is?
It's because you agree with them. That's why you don't notice it, because you're right there with them.
No, you know
with your Josh Allen praise.
No, you know what? I just realized it, and I just realized that based on the first thing that Lonzo said to me when I walked into the studio, I just realized what it is.
Well, the first thing I said was, "Man, the moon is."
Okay, the second thing after we discussed the Death Star floating around this morning, Lonzo, I have just realized what it is. What it is. You have entered with Mahomes where you fought through with Patriots fans where they were with Tom Brady. That's all it is. If anybody doesn't lay down to talk about the absolute perfection that is 15, in your mind, that's an attack. If you are not propping him up, ready to build statues of him across America, that is a personal attack.
By the way, that's not true. And
I think it is.
And there's no guarantee the Chiefs win next week. It is amazing
because Lamar's a dude. I tried to tell you.
It is. You got like one right.
I did not.
Yeah, you did.
I got 2 right. I got San Francisco too.
Okay, you did.
I was 2 and 2.
All right.
And for the record, I did point out that both of my picks, the Buffalo pick, I knew going in, that's a toss-up.
You had to be afraid You had to be afraid about the Houston 100%. Thing after that first half.
No, after the first half, 10-10 the first half. I absolutely did. We're going to talk about all these games. I absolutely did. But then second half was exactly what I thought it was going to be. The game that scared the hell out of me was Green Bay, San Francisco. For being honest.
Yeah,
that's the game that scared the hell out of me.
Well, I know we're going to talk about it. They were just a little.
We're going to get to all of that. So
I am not who you're trying to paint me.
I think you are, man.
I'm not.
I think you are.
If I were, it would be nothing but Andy Reid sound and Patrick Mahomes sound, and I would be just jumping in here. How about them Chiefs and doing all this stuff? Like, I'm not doing that. Am I wearing my gear? Yeah, because they're still in the playoffs.
That's different.
If they weren't, I would. I mean, come on.
That's different.
I am not that guy. I could be that guy, Rob. Don't make me be that guy.
Listen,
so just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
If you watched that game last night and your takeaway was Romo hates Mahomes or Romo is pumping up Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Okay, I never said that he hates Mahomes. What I said is it was Josh Allen every other phrase to the point where it is sickening.
If all you heard,
don't make me go back and count how many times he did that.
You know what?
Because I could.
I hope you do, because
you know why I won't? Because I'd have to listen to him again.
I don't think there is this thing about you that you believe that there is some deep state media conspiracy to elevate Josh Allen into the hierarchy of great quarterbacks. And you believe it comes at the expense of Patrick Mahomes. That's what I think. Romo and Nance hyped 15 all damn night.
It is the LeBron James effect. It is the Michael Jordan effect. It is the great player effect where people, they're great. Let's talk about the other guy. That's what it is, to the point where, but if you're not given equal treatment, it seems a little one-sided. So I hate that I have to. I hope there's an alternate broadcast next week. Sometimes they do that where they'll give you like the home broadcast, because I'd rather listen to the home broadcast than listen to Tony Romo. And it has nothing to do with Kansas City. I don't like him on any broadcast.
Was there anywhere that you could have listened to this game last night?
Yeah, I could have with the Westwood One app. But or with the Odyssey app, and I could have done that.
So here's what I think we're at, and then
the audio is a little bit off, and it was.
That's why the DVR is your friend, man. DVR is your friend.
No, you can't. There's no way you could sync. Well, I guess you could, but man, that would be.
I do it all the time with the Saints broadcast.
Do you really? Mm-hmm. I've never tried that.
It's usually for the Saints broadcast. It's about 8 to 9 seconds off, so you just sync up.
Now,
the only problem you have is if radio's ahead of TV, and then you're in trouble. But if you go through apps. Usually by the time it leaves the radio station, goes to the satellite, goes to the thing, syndicates through, gets on the web, travels to you. Usually TV 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds ahead of the radio. So you just pause the DVR, get them synced up, and you're good. All right. Listen,
now I know what I'm doing. Now I know what I'm doing next week because I didn't. Yeah,
I'm just saying, even
it's a challenge.
Despite your unabashed Mahomerism, which is the thing I say now.
No,
and I just thought of.
I just don't like Tony Romo.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people that he was a big deal when he first came out. Now he's just yappy. He's yappy dog.
I thought it was good last night.
I
thought he's gotten better. I do think that at the beginning of the year, really towards the end of last year, I think he heard so much, and this can happen to anybody. You get gassed up so much about being the dude that you eventually just think I can just show up and do it, right? I can just show up and be that guy. I thought that he was much better last night. Now, with that being said, I do not think, as far as this game goes, I do not think that if I was Buffalo, Sean McDermott, this is going to sound nuts. You're going to think I'm crazy because the dude just got you to the AFC divisional round. I would not be bringing back Sean McDermott next year. I would not. He fell apart. You've got the
So
ball.
this is like the McCarthy discussion. I mean,
similar.
yeah,
Very similar.
and the same thing with Pittsburgh. I mean, trying to decide, this has been a really good coach for a really long time. They get us to this level. They can't get us to the next level. Here's the thing. Sometimes there's a nemesis out there, and you can't get past the nemesis.
I'm going to push back on one. I'm going to push back on Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin had Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph.
Oh, he did an excellent job.
Sean McDermott
By the way,
has Josh Allen, and Mike McCarthy had this year's Dak Prescott.
I don't think any of them should be fired. So I disagree with you there. I don't think McCarthy should have been fired. I don't think McDermott should be fired. I definitely don't think Tomlin should be fired.
I'd be ready to move on from Sean McDermott because I got up this AM and found, I'm scrolling the internet in the fortress of nerditude as one does in the AM. And I'm like, let me check in on the mental status of the Buffalo Bills fans over there on Reddit. So I opened up the Bulls app. I said the Bulls. I meant the Bills, but you get it. I opened up the Bills app.
It's a complete crap.
They're not doing good over there. They're not doing real good in Buffalo. Talks of a curse were out there. We're just cursed. We can't. And I'm trying to inject some levity into the conversation by saying, because you have two problems. Number one, you have to realize the guy on the other side of the football is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game, right? You have to recognize that you are in the same boat that Dolphins fans and Jets fans and, you were in for years. It sucks for the Bills that for so many years they felt close, but they shared a division with the GOAT. They shared it with Tom Brady. And now Brady leaves. You find your guy at quarterback. You're right there on the cusp. And what happens? You keep getting paired up with Patrick Mahomes in the AFC playoff picture.
Although he lost to Burrow last year, so maybe it's not that. Maybe it's big game.
I think it might, and this is why I say I gotta go from McDermott. Because last night, with Buffalo down 3 and inside of 3 minutes to play, there's two strategies, Lonzo. Number one, you play the offense that's been working. Now, you can't really run as much anymore because then you got to burn timeouts. And if you walk away with nothing, you need those timeouts because then any turnover ends the game. So you can't just run it up the gut. But what has been working in the past game, dink and dunk underneath, hit him underneath, cross the slants, hit him underneath. And instead, what are we doing? We're taking freaking artillery strikes at the end zone to wide receivers that have already been dropping the ball all night, right? Let's throw it to Stephon Diggs down the sideline, who's already dropped one or two of those tonight.
Or be smart and throw to your tight ends who were not dropping the ball. The tight ends were catching the ball.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Dink and dunk and work your way down. And then when you get the clock down inside of 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and you're not looking at a 44-yarder in a swirling wind, you're looking at a 20-yarder much closer to the goal line, then you can take a couple of pot shots at the end zone and see what happens, right? But there's another option. And the other option there was, aside from dink and dunk and push down, the other option is absolutely run it up the gut where you have been running well, run the clock down, utilize your timeout, try to tie the game, and not give it back to Mahomes with enough time to do anything. And I think I think y'all have one timeout left at that spot. Set it up where, maybe we're going to play for the tie here, but we're going to play for the tie and inside of the clock. Either way, the correct answer is not go deep. Now, I will point out that there were checkdowns and there were crossing routes on all three of those shots Josh Allen took at the end zone, and he took them anyway. But I think I know on at least one. I think the one that missed, the one that hit the dirt in the middle of the end zone, that there was like nobody there. I went back and all 22'd that. And I think Stephon Diggs broke the wrong way. I do. Because the cover, when I say there was nobody in the middle of the end zone, I'm talking from either team. There wasn't a chief in sight. And I think Diggs was running an out to the pylon instead of into the goalpost. If he runs a post pattern towards the back of the end zone, that ball's a touchdown. We may be having a very different conversation today. So this is one of those things that it's gonna sting because there's gonna be a lot of Josh Allen can't do it conversation. But dude, McDermott was bad. The play calling was bad. The wide receivers were bad. And I know that there are going to be some people. I'm sure Lonzo's going to say this to me later on. Rob, you are going to run out of breath and life trying to defend Josh Allen. But that game was on Sean McDermott.
In the end, I don't care because Josh's going home. I mean, that's the ultimate thing. Scoreboard still, in the end, is the ultimate thing. And scoreboard, Kansas City had 3 more than the Bills. Kansas City moves on, and Buffalo goes home. So, I mean, I don't need to see anything else but that.
I mean, it's fair. I do, because breaking down games is half the fun for me. So, we're going to talk a lot of football. We've got the Detroit Lions, who heartbreak bake yesterday. I'll tell you this. As much as I'm defending Josh Allen, I'm going to do the same damn thing for Baker Mayfield. I know he had that pick on the final drive that sealed it. Lonzo, Tampa Bay lost that game yesterday. Baker Mayfield was a stud.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Stud.
Yeah. Catch the ball, receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Evans, dude, what are you doing?
Evans had like $179 and a touch. There was one egregious mistake that I had from Baker's. There was one, which was that 2-point conversion that he threw into the back of the Detroit Lion instead of sailing it to the – you got to put that up over the top to the corner. But outside of that, Baker was balling yesterday.
There's 2 big drop passes by Mike Evans in his hands. I mean, and it's not like it was behind him or anything, but in his hands.
Yeah.
And he just dropped them.
Yesterday was not on Baker. It was not on. In fact, I would go so far as to say there was not a QB who lost this weekend that I go, it's on him. I don't think it was on C.J. Stroud. I don't think it was on Jordan Love. There was the. Okay, let's rephrase.
All right, Jordan Love, I'm not so sure. It's
here's
near the end of that
Jordan
game.
Love.
Yeah.
Jordan Love had the finishing strike mistake, but Jordan Love was also the reason they were in a position there at the end to maybe do something.
Like either the last drive or the last 2 drives for Jordan Love, he became rookie.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Listen, I don't care if you've never played the game before. You have got to understand there is the number 1 cardinal rule of quarterbacking. If you have only quarterbacked at an elementary school flag football level, the cardinal rule of quarterbacking is what? Do not throw back across the field across your body on the run. That's it. If you are running right, do not throw it back to the left side of the field. And Jordan Love did that, and the reason you don't do that is what happened. Pick to end the ball game. San Francisco, in a very winnable game for the Green Bay Packers, moves on to host the Lions. All right, we got a lot of NFL to talk about throughout the course of the day today. I also tell you, ladies and gentlemen, as it is AFC and NFC championship game weekend, this is a week where we start leaning into basketball more and more. It is Shooty Hoops season. So we'll talk some NBA hoops later on. It's going to be busy, y'all. I am Rob Brown, the great Lonzo on the 1s and 2s. His team on its way to an AFC title game once again, but they are on the road once again at Baltimore. We'll see how that goes versus Lamar. You know we're going to talk about that on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stay tuned. I have got a quick live read, and then we are coming right back. supermoon.
That's what it is. It is a lot closer to the Earth, obviously.
Is that its closest point?
This year it has been, but for some reason today.
Supermoon is when the moon is at 90% or greater of its mean closest approach to Earth. There's also, I learned this, and it's fascinating. The moon is not, but appears larger when it's on the horizon than when it's at its apex.
See, that's what they're saying on this too.
So if you ever see the moon right when it rises or right as it's falling, it will always look bigger, even though it's not. It's a weird optical illusion. And nobody knows why.
Swamp gas, maybe? I don't know.
It's because the moon is a hologram projected on the dome over the flat Earth.
That could be it.
That's
I didn't
it.
think about it that way.
Yeah. And when it gets down closer to the edge, it's closer to the projector.
Okay. All right. I get it.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. Texture says Romo blows chunks. Hyper middle school kid at best. Is it just me? Does nobody else like it when the play-by-play guys are actually excited about the game?
No, I like excitable play-by-play, but he's wrong a lot, and it's just okay, what you going to do here? And it's just and just like, well, that was, if he was held right there, and then they show it, and the guy's hands were nowhere near the other guy, and then he's wrong too much. If he was right a lot, I think it would make up for the yappy dog energy. It's just yappy dog, and maybe it's such a contrast between him and Nance. It makes it seem even more so.
See, I don't think Romo is wrong that often.
And here's the thing, how does Tony Romo know about championship football? I mean,
if that, Lonzo, if that is your standard, then you and I have no business in this industry. Because I don't know about you. I've never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would.
I've tried.
I think, I was thinking about this. I think I prefer a guy who's never played over Romo, because Romo acts like he knows what's going on out there, and we know he can never accomplish. I think it takes away from it. I really do.
Here's what I'll say. If you want to get on Romo because he's obnoxious or he's excitable or he's too energetic or whatever.
Or a loser when he was in the NFL.
Whatever. If you want to get on him for whatever reason.
Maybe he's supposed to be America's announcer. I mean, he played for America's team. You're out here defending America's announcer. Thank you. I mean, obviously I'm anti-American, I guess.
America. The haters.
If you want to get on Romo because he's excitable or he's over the top or he's whatever, I'm good with that. The one thing I am going to push back on is that he doesn't know what's going on. I don't think, and there are some good ones.
By the way, I didn't say he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, he did.
No, I said he didn't know what winning football was about because he's a loser. He was a loser when he played then.
Nance has never won a game in his life.
Listen, Jim Nance has been a winner in everything he's done. He is
all right.
He's the apex.
All right.
You don't want to be Jim Nance.
All right.
All right. Do you want to be?
I'm a big quarter zip guy.
Thank you.
Here's what I'm saying.
If you don't like Jim Nance, you don't like Friends. Maybe you don't have any friends.
I love Jim Nance. I promise you, I like Nance more than you. I'm a golf guy. All right. I watch Nance's golf calls with more excitement than his football calls. All right. Hello, friends. So I wish I could do that. I wish I had that vanilla in my voice. Hello, friends. I can't do it
because you put too much bass in it.
Hello, friend. It's worse. That's worse.
There's some baritone in there somewhere. That's what you need.
Turned into, never mind. All right. So if you want to pop off on Romo for being excitable or over the top or whatever, that's fine. There are a lot of guys in the game on color that are pretty good at what they do, right? A lot of folks dislike Chris Collinsworth, but he can break a game down. I don't think that there is anybody on the telestrator that can tell you what happened on a play and why than Romo. And I will say, his first year in the box, there was a big difference. First year in the box, Romo was calling shots pre-snap. He's like, watch this. This safety is going to get dragged over here. It's going to open up the seam route. Bang, there it is. This year, he's not doing that as much. But I also think there is a decent chance. I don't know this for a fact, but I think there is a decent chance that he was told to pull back on that a little bit because it was almost to some degree taking the drama out of the plays, right? Like when he's saying this safety is going to get dragged, it's going to open up the seam route because they're going to run an opposite cross on the other side that's going to put – when he says that, and that's what you're looking at, it kind of takes the drama out of the play. So I as a TV guy, because I played that game for a while, as a TV guy, I think there's a chance he might have been told pull back on that and focus on breaking down the play after it's over. And when Romo pulls up the telestrator and he's putting the yellow marks on the TV, I don't think there's anybody better. You can knock him for being a lap dog or a yap dog or whatever you called him earlier, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, yappy dog. Here's what I do believe that they told him to pull it back a little bit, but I believe that Jim Nantz told him if he kept doing it, he was going to punch him in the face. That's what I want to believe. I want to believe that he brought Jim Nantz to the point of wanting violence. That's what I believe.
Yes, Jim Nantz, Mr. Quarter Zip, MMA fighter in the background.
You don't have to be an MMA fighter to punch someone in the face. You don't.
I don't think. I'm not blaming it on Nantz. I think it was a matter of, dude, when you tell everybody what's going to happen before it happens, the drama is taken out, the air is taken out of every play. So don't do that. Break it down after. And I don't think anybody on color right now, you can dislike him, but I don't think anybody on color right now does a better job of telling you why what happened than Romo.
All right, let's see next week if he says Lamar Jackson's name more than he says Patrick Mahomes.
You know what? I will be willing to discuss that 100%. In fact, not only willing to discuss that, I am willing to track that. Remind me on Friday, all right? Put it in a note somewhere. Remind me on Friday, because you and I both know I'm going to forget by the end of this show that I said
I'm
this.
definitely not going to send you a text because that's not going to work.
I mean, just don't text me during the games, you know? Like, you can text me whenever.
I don't text you during games.
Let's see. We have Kansas City versus Baltimore on Sunday. What a day we got lined up. So we got Kansas City, Baltimore at 3, Detroit, San Francisco, 6:30, Royal Rumble at night. What a day.
Royal Rumble's on Saturday.
I thought it was on Sunday.
No, they moved all their premium live.
Good call on them.
So, yeah, it's at 8 o'clock Saturday night, which we'll be discussing come Thursday on the Fight Club.
Fight Club. So, Kansas City, Baltimore's at 3 o'clock. If somebody reminds me on Friday to make a note of it, I will 100% do a Lamar Mahomes tracker.
Dude, you're not going to remember by
Here's
Sunday.
Here's my question. Do you what? I'm not talking about times when Nantz says Mahomes rolls right or Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, not having to do with play-by-play.
Are we going to declare just compliments? Just a compliment tracker?
Yes.
We're going to declare a Lamar v. Mahomes compliment tracker because it is the AFC title game, and if Lonzo's narrative has been.
By the way,
the media's narrative has been to pump up Josh Allen as the new superhero. Yeah. If anybody's getting that done for them in the AFC this year, it's Lamar. So if it is true,
congrats to Lamar, by the
weekend.
way. Congrats to Lamar for finally winning a big game. He won one, and it's mostly because of him. Congrats to him.
Yes, it was. Lamar Jackson's a dude. He's a dude.
Because he got the mess scared out of him by halftime.
Lamar, 10-10 at halftime. And by the way, I think that was a lot on just what I said it was, which was going to be D'Amico Ryan and Houston's defense was good. So I will compliment track. The compliment tracker, I think, is what we'll go with. I will open up the compliment tracker on Lamar v. Patty when it comes to. I'm assuming that it is going to be Romo and Nantz on that call. It is a CBS game.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
They announced that they'll be
Okay.
doing the game.
So Romo and Nance in Lamar v. Patrick. If there is a quarterback in the league that CBS / the NFL is going to pimp as the legitimate superhero that can end the reign, the tyrannical dictatorship of Patrick Mahomes of the last, 5 years, it's Lamar this year. That's the guy they're going to promote. So I will put a compliment tracker on Tony Romo, just Tony Romo, and see if he hands out one more than the other. All right? Because some of y'all, we got a couple of texts from people that are telling me Romo's garbage. I disagree. And I think Romo had his head up his rectum a little bit at the beginning of the year. I think he was sniffing his own farts a little bit at the beginning of the year. But I think he's come back to earth. I think he's come back down to earth. Texas said at the very outset of the game, Romo said, "I have never been so excited to be calling a game." That was his lead. It was downhill from there. Yep. I don't know, man. Like, was that not the best game of the weekend?
And when there were some really good games.
I agree, but was that not the best going into the weekend?
I am biased.
Not the one
I'm biased, so
okay,
I can't.
Going into the weekend, if you told me I could.
All right, on paper, it was
Yes.
the best one. It was a clash, and it lived up to its billing. It absolutely did.
As a non-biased debater in that moment, going into that game, that was the game. If I had to pick one to watch, that was it. I don't think there's anything wrong with going with Romo going, this is the one. It was.
When they showed him in the booth, he just, I don't know, that Josh Allen. I mean, just the look on his face, it's just, shut up, dude.
I think you are a Patriots Brady fan, just a Chiefs Mahomes guy now. If you are not complimenting my guy, you are attacking.
That's offensive.
We don't do offensive here.
No. If you wanna say you're a Joe Montana fan doing that, I'm okay. Okay.
You are that
because Montana was that
Montana
was that guy back in the day. And yeah, so I'm looking that Brady guy. No, he don't even have some records anymore. I mean, Mahomes is going to make everyone forget about him.
We're going to find out again. And I think that right there is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I
mean, you just said Mahomes is going to make us forget about Joe Montana.
No. Tom Brady. He's going to make us forget about Tom Brady. No.
Okay,
no.
Then let me rephrase that.
And just like Marino, all his records are like gone.
You just
which proves that he's not that great of a quarterback.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I mean, he is on track to do that.
He's on track to win 7 Super Bowls.
Is he not?
I mean, he's not.
By the way, on track would be like, say you're going to 6 AFC championships in a row.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of on track, isn't it?
He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
You got to remember, Brady didn't win every Super Bowl he was in.
No, he did not.
Yeah.
No, he did not. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ, a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. The dude is legitimately one of the greatest to ever do it. I'm not arguing. I agree with that. What I'm saying is, it feels like, and I will put this to Chiefs Kingdom, of which Lonzo is a loyal subject, okay? I think Chiefs Kingdom is at a point now where if you say a good thing about another quarterback, it is equivalent of saying a bad thing about Patrick. And I don't feel that way.
By the way, the Chiefs could very well lose next week. I mean, they absolutely could. They're going up against a team that's really, really good. I mean, without a doubt. I'm just talking about the hype. It's akin to LeBron and Mahomes will reach that level where if he continues to play as he is, where he won't be considered for awards and things and because everyone's like, yeah, well, we can give it to him every year. Is he reached that point? He is the quarterback right now that all the other ones want to reach his level.
Patrick Mahomes was not in the MVP discussion this year. At no point was Patrick Mahomes in the MVP
discussion
this year.
Because this was more of a team season than it was him carrying the team. For
Correct.
Sure.
He was not in the MVP discussion. Now, I will say this for sure.
Yes, Bjorn. Yes, Brady did beat. Brady was the mountain for Mahomes for a couple years.
I will say this.
And I don't count the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl, they lost both tackles, and there was no way they were winning that game.
I think if you plugged probably 27 other quarterbacks into the Kansas City Chiefs this year, Lonzo, you guys are a 7-win football team, 6-win football team. Genuinely. I think if you plug 27 of 32 other quarterbacks in that mix, you're a sub 500 non-playoff team this year. But because you had Patrick Mahomes, he dragged that team to a playoff. It was not his best year, but it is also the worst, to me, the worst offensive set he's played in this year. And it says something that he got there. But he did not have the year Lamar had. He didn't have the regular season that Josh Allen had. He didn't have the regular season that, hell, Brock Purdy had, although
by the way,
some things to say about Brock
Josh Allen didn't come on until the end of the season.
I don't disagree.
And it's the same thing that the Chiefs did. They had their lulls in the middle of the season. Both teams did. And then they started playing championship football, playoff football. The thing is Josh Allen had some things against him. He had some drop passes,
his head coach and his wide receivers.
Yeah, he had a coach, and it still. I'm going to say that fake punt is what killed it.
That was the beginning of the end. I do not.
Disagree. I was concerned until then but I've been concerned for every game with the Chiefs because they always seem to play from behind. But at that point when that changed, I was good. I'm like, okay, we got
I agree.
this.
That moment, it felt like it was all done. It was added down onto that.
When that happened, here's what I thought. Andy Reid just won. That's what I thought. Andy Reid just won.
At that point, there was an absolute panic from the Buffalo Bills and from Sean McDermott. It felt like the game plan fell apart. And I will agree, part of the reason why was because they had been running the ball so damn well. And by the point where they needed the offense to click, they could not run it at him anymore. They were out of time to run it at him. And I think that's where Sean McDermott panicked. He had nowhere to go with that. All right, we got to run to a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1. Chiefs go on the road. Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game, and he goes in there and gets it done against just Josh. He's on his way to an AFC title game where he will be hosted by Lamar and the Ravens. Over on the NFC side, the 49ers will play host to the upstart Lions. We are talking to all of those games as the show rolls on. It's Rob, it's Lonzo, it's you. Texter says the Bills did not have good coverage for Mahomes or Auto. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Okay, we're going to be a little short because he says he put them in, but they are not. Sports Flash is not working. So.
A little short at the top of the hour break?
No, on this break.
On this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's since we're late?
How about Kelsey and Kel, see how much you can save by bundling your home and auto insurance?
If you put the letters really small.
I love that commercial.
Yeah.
Right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for 2024. Hey, it's Charlie James. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knee or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatment has arrived. QC has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. Get your life back. And listen, it's not surgical. If this year is the year you decide to fight back against that pain, take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on the calendar today. Call 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Nashville. 864-448-3772.
Hi, this is Mark Ryan with Offside. We'll be live this Wednesday from 3 to 7 at Ingles Markets at 1524 Locustville Road in Greer. Stop by and say hi. We'll also be giving away a $25 Eagles gift card.
Hi, I'm Henry Miller. My eyes are very important. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Pellets, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy. like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA.
Yeah, Tim, they all have the wrong date, dude.
GAwon'tWait.com. That's GAwon'tWait.com.
Nachos! Hey, I'll take some. And some Frank's Red Hot. Nah. You're just gonna eat these boring nachos with no flavor. Frank it up! Frank it up! This guy finally gets it.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
Hi, Discover. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for the cash back on my groceries.
No problem. Discover Cashback Debit. Everyone.
Sorry, not talking to the stream, but I am having a problem. Something not working.
All right, wrapping up the first hour of the radio broadcast as we talk National Football League. Robin Lonzo with you on a Monday morning. And it is bleeping cold outside still, 20 degrees outside. I'm over it, all right? It just is what it is. I'm over it. What do you want?
Yeah, our water froze. So,
dude.
Yeah, so we had to go out because some of the critters decided to take the insulation off of the water pipes to make nests, I guess.
Lonzo,
so we had to rewrap
cold,
them.
If you're cold, they're cold.
Okay? Yeah, I could care less.
Bring them inside.
Yeah, I'm not making a possum sanctuary in my house. No, thank you.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks having to get up and go outside at 3:45, 4 o'clock in the morning with a pitcher of cold water to get the ice off the windshield, man. Just no bueno.
You should not do that, by the way.
Cold water.
Yeah, you should not. I mean, you get.
It's the only way I've ever done it. That's what I was told to do. Cold water is the way to go.
To crack your windshield.
No, that's hot water.
Dude,
you gotta go cold water.
What? You don't have an auto start on that?
Yeah, I do, but I forget it.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying that auto start, it will run for 10 minutes.
You ready for the most first world problem I have? This is the most first world problem I have. This is a thing I am embarrassed to say that I consider a problem in my life. This is one of those things when I think life is bad for me, I have to put it into perspective. Here's the most first world problem I have. The first world problem I deal with, Lonzo, is that I have an auto start on the rig so I can get the heater going 15 before I leave, yeah? Except it's an app on my phone. It's not on my keys. So I can't walk over to my keys and push the button 2 times. I got to open my phone and go to the app. And then I got to wait for the app to load. And then I got to hold the button for 5 seconds. And then the button takes a minute to spin. You can't close the app on the phone until the car is started. So I got to wait to make sure that it goes ding, phone started, and our car started. And then I think I have 10 minutes before it shuts off and you have to redo it, but you can't do it twice in a row. If you do it a second time, you have to lock and unlock the car to tell the car that it wasn't an accident. I do want you to start again. And it's just very frustrating. That's the problem I complained about this morning.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know. Listen.
So you didn't have your phone open for any other reason?
Dude, when I get up in the morning, it is the only thing I can do to put everything in my life to stay awake. All right. And I had a good sleep last night. I stayed up till that game was over. TV was off 5 minutes later. I was out less than 10 minutes after that. I beat my fiance to sleep for the first time. That never happens. And I woke up this morning and I was fighting for my life. So the phone stays on the charger until I am dressed and ready to go. And the problem with that is, that's how I have to start my car. So I leave it on the charger in the room while I go get dressed in the bro cave, right? And then when I come back, it's basically time to leave. And I did not preheat my car.
So,
phrase.
I mean,
It's my biggest problem, and I know that makes me sound like an absolute whiny.
Well, I'm very ordered with how I do things. So before I go brush my teeth, after I eat my breakfast, I start my car. So I go brush my teeth, come back in, get my coat on, get my stuff together, walk out, and it's been, at least running for 5 minutes. I mean, if you and you're in a decent neighborhood, right? So you don't have to worry about.
No,
more
like I'm
likely.
not worried about that.
Yeah.
And like it auto starts, but it stays locked. I still have to I have
Right,
to unlock
right.
it. So I'm not worried about it. Although I didn't know this. Did you know, or at least somebody told me this weekend? I need to do the research, but I'm going to say it on the radio anyway because it interests me. Apparently, it is either currently illegal or it is going through the legislature that it is illegal to pre-start your car more than X amount of minutes before you're ready to leave. Right? In fact, it is illegal. I know this one is, I'm 90% sure this one is true. It is illegal if you got to put the key in the ignition and turn it. It is illegal to leave your keys in your vehicle running without attending it. Right? So if your car's in the driveway, you go outside, you crank it up, and then you leave the keys in it while you go back inside to let it bake for a minute. That's apparently against the law.
Sounds like some
That's
sort
wild.
of government oversight thing that they're really happy about.
It is not. I'll tell you where it came from. It came from insurance companies lobbying because that is the time when cars are most apt to be stolen.
Yeah.
So because so many people were starting their car, leaving the keys in it, people were just going, sweet, free car, it's already running, and driving off with the car. The insurance companies have apparently lobbied to get it made where that's illegal because it would theoretically decrease the number of stolen cars and therefore decrease the liability of insurance companies.
Well,
be cold, you plebes.
If the squirrels and the possums want to report me, go for it, because they're the only ones who are going to notice.
All right, we've got a lot to get to during the back 3 hours of the show today. We got to keep talking NFL playoffs. Our AFC and NFC championship games are set as of now. We will open them up on Sunday at 3 p.m. when the Kansas City Chiefs will travel to take on Lamar Jackson and his Baltimore Ravens in the AFC title game. That one is again at 3 o'clock, then at 6:30 on Fox. Detroit is on the road at the San Francisco 49ers. We will break down everything that happened in the divisional round to set those NFC and AFC championship games up. Clemson and South Carolina, both big wins on the hardwood this weekend. South Carolina went to Arkansas, got a much-needed road win. Clemson took on Florida State, had a get-right game, and took advantage of that. We'll break those games down. And a 5-star quarterback in the transfer portal has made his decision, and both Bill O'Brien and the great one get a bleep-eating grin when I mention that news. Why? You know, but I'll tell you anyway, because that's how news works. You know how else news works? Like this.
Stop me if you heard this, but the words wide right might be considered vulgar in Buffalo, New York, with a chance to tie the Kansas City Chiefs and send the game to overtime. Bills kicker Tyler Bass missed a field goal that sealed a 27-24 Kansas City win, sending them to the AFC title game for the 6th year in a row. Patrick Mahomes went 17-23 for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns, both to Travis Kelce. Isaiah Pacheco ran for 97 yards and a touchdown. The Chiefs face the Ravens next week for a trip to the title game. San Francisco will host Detroit after the Lions knocked off Tampa Bay 31-23. Jared Goff connected with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Reynolds for touchdowns, and the Lions picked off Baker Mayfield on Tampa's first and last drives. Make sure you tune in Wednesday as the Furman Paladins take on Sanford. Dude, what in the world? Bring back our other traffic lady.
In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post the job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate with
Zach, welcome in, big dog. Happy Monday, my guy. Great to have you.
at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you can start speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
I'm so glad they're back.
Million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Start learning a language today at Babbel.com.
Some days, my active psoriatic arthritis makes it hard to get in the game. Now, the ball is in my court, thanks to treating my skin and joints with Sky Rizin, Rizinkizumab Rizin, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults.
I'm not going to acknowledge that, but you're right.
Sky Rizin helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions.
So you think Crying Buffalo fan is like wrestling fans, knowing that if you do a certain thing, like what Shivani was telling us, you think that's that?
No, not in a stadium of 80,000. You can't think you're getting singled out.
Wow, man! So the cameraman just got lucky.
Yeah. Dude, you think he was the only guy that was having that reaction in that moment? Another wide right, another one.
A lot of those people weren't even alive when that happened, but yeah. I guess you know the lore of your team.
Yeah. I think that's got to be it. Like, even if you weren't alive for the Norwood wide rights, you still know what happened.
Again, I know I'm supposed to be nice to Jim Kelly, but I can never stand him. And Marv Levy got on my nerves.
Jim Kelly was one of the nicest people I've ever met.
I don't care. Look how punk to me.
Our numero dos of the Rob Brown radio program starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob, the great one, Lonzo, on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. Should you elect to be a part of the radio broadcast, now is a splendiferous time to do just that. 844-326-3663 is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas phone line, 844-FANFONE. You may text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Texture says, first world problems, Rob. Yeah, no, I know. I literally said this is a first world problem. It's a dumb problem to have, all right? Doesn't mean it's not one. It's a very dumb one. It's not one to complain about.
It's not
Doesn't
really.
mean it's not one.
It's not really a problem. I mean,
Sure
it's
it is.
it's.
Feels like one at 3:45 in the morning.
So you don't really care about the cold, because if you care about the cold, you're going to think, oh man, I'm going to be cold if I do not warm
I'm
this up.
trying to make it a habit. I am trying to make it a habit. I'm
mean,
trying to work it into the routine. The problem is the routine after what have we been in this gig? About a month and a half now? Like the routine's pretty set.
I think it's been longer than that, but
2
yeah.
months, whatever. The routine's pretty much set. All right. We have got coming up in this hour of the show your water cooler cheat sheet here in just mere moments from right now. We are going to continue to break down the NFL's division around what did we learn and what did we miss as far as the teams moving on to the championship games coming up this weekend. We'll get to that. We got to start talking some basketball because it was a good weekend in Palmetto State Shooty Hoops as South Carolina goes on the road to Arkansas and gets a much-needed road dub, and Clemson took on the underwhelming Florida State Seminoles and had a get-right game in which they got right.
Hey, are we going to talk about how you shouldn't storm the court? Are we going to talk about that? Are we going to avoid that because it goes against
Here's the problem. I'm a pro court stormer. I'm a pro.
Yeah, I know,
stormer.
which is why I thought maybe we wouldn't talk about it.
No, we will.
Okay,
It would be unfair. It would be unbecoming of me to not acknowledge that multiple players got wrecked by fans during court stormings, including my homie Caitlin Clark, who got wrecked by a Buckeye.
Gotta have your head on a swivel, man.
Wrecked by a Buckeye. We will talk about that coming up later in the show. But before we get to any of that, it is 7:03 in the morning. It is just about that time, friends. It is almost time for you to get clocked in. And then it's almost time after that for you to start talking sports on the clock. You know, you might as well earn yourself a couple bucks while you talk sports. Lonzo and I do it every day. And we're going to help you do the same thing by doing this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?"
Even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
For those of you that don't know what that clip is, last Friday we had NASCAR driver Corey LaJoie on the show, as he was in town for NASCAR night for the Swamp Rabbits on Saturday, which was a resounding success, by the way. We had a blast that night. And LaJoie, this is the third year in a row Corey's come on the show. Corey's good people. So I was like, what's up, big dog? And he hit me with,
"Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?"
And it was just, I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like Corey knows the show, right? Corey knows the show. Corey, I saw him before the game on Saturday. I got in there early. I was announcing the drivers, both to the red carpet members and in front of the game. They brought me out on the ice to do a driver introduction. And so I got there well before the game, and Corey and Tyler Reddick and a couple of other NASCAR drivers were there, and I got in a conversation with them. And I walked up, and I'm like, "Corey, what's up, bud?" And he goes, "Rob, what's up, man?" Talked to him for a minute. He goes, "By the way, it is so dope." To his words, not mine. It is so dope to hear you flip the switch and go into straight up radio hype man. He was like, "You got me gassed on Friday. You got me gassed for this yesterday." I was like, "That's great." And then I asked him if he wanted like a personal track announcer. And he told me he couldn't pay me for it, but yes, I could show up to Charlotte. So, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, what's up, Big Daddy?
Yeah, that's all you need is another job.
I mean, come on, dude. That'd be a pretty good one. Go to every NASCAR race as Corey LaJoie's personal ring announcer. That'd be dope. Great gig. Corey's the best, man. That dude's great. By the way, he did say he would be he'd be happy to come on the show during the season, like every couple of weeks, and just talk NASCAR with us. So we may have host of Stack and Penny / driver of the number 7 Spire Motorsports Chevy Camaro, Corey LaJoie, joining the show here and there. Ty Reddick said he'd come on. Ty was a playoff driver last year. He said he'd come on too. So we'll see. Anyway, item number 1. Your NFL divisional championships are set. Conference championships are set after a stellar set of games this weekend. There really wasn't a bad game per se. There was really just one half that got out of hand as Lamar and his Ravens knock off C.J. Stroud and his Texans 34-10. Lamar Jackson, 16 of 22, 152, and 2 touchdowns, but he also ran 11 times for 100 and punched 2 in on the ground as well. Lamar Jackson responsible for 4 tutties in this game. 229. Here's the game. 229, rushing yards for the Ravens. 38 for the Houston Texans. Just could not move the football on the ground. They put it all onto the arm of C.J. Stroud, and he really did not do poorly. 19 of 33, 175. Got to keep in mind, number inflated because he was throwing a lot in the second half. But the Texans only ran the ball 14 times. The Ravens ran it 42. That's the game. If you get a disparaging difference in rushing attempts like that, the team that's up by 30 rushes, basically, is going to win 90% of the time.
It would seem, though, even the position has been devalued, that the running game this year more than it has been in a while is very important.
I don't disagree, and I don't think it ever stopped. I think the problem is with the development of the NFL becoming more of a quarterback-driven passing league. The running back is still very valuable. The problem is how much you got to pour into the running back position financially to get a guy that is a genuine difference maker, right? That's why Tennessee, as they find a new head coach and start into the rebuild process, is not going to keep Derrick Henry, one of the best in the game, and a guy that if he had a competent offensive line in front of him is going to average 80-plus yards a game, but they're not going to keep him. Not because he's not good, but because the amount of money you got to dump into an elite caliber running back for a guy that if a running back is getting you $150 a game in the NFL, it does not mean you are consistently winning. We see a lot of 100-yard rushers losing football contests. You have got to be able to throw the football. Lamar works because he can go 16 of 22 for 152 and 2 touchdowns. And, oh, by the way, chip in a century mark of rushing yards. You are going to see the quarterback position continue to swing more towards Lamar and further away from Derek Carr as the league progresses. Now, there will be a tipping point where it starts to come back to a pocket passer quarterback like a Brock Purdy, but we ain't there yet.
And that would be because of adjustments of defense.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. Because of guys like D'Amico Ryans, without a doubt. Saturday's game on the NFC side saw the Packers come up just shy against the heavily overwhelming favorites, the San Francisco 49ers, 24-21, your final in that one. Brock Purdy, 23 of 39, 252 and a touchdown. This is real interesting to me, Zoe, because I think there were some quarterbacks this weekend that had fantastic numbers and were a bit underwhelming, and some that had what look on paper to be pretty pedestrian numbers that actually had real good games. Brock Purdy is a dude with 252 passing yards and a touchdown, is a dude that I think got carried through this game. I don't feel like Brock Purdy was a difference maker. I don't feel like Brock Purdy won this game. I felt like McCaffrey with 98 on the ground and 30 through the air. George Kittle with 4 for 81 out of the tight end role. 61 for Jawan Jennings. This game maybe is a little different if Debo doesn't leave with a busted up shoulder.
I think that's it.
Debo had 2 for 24 before he had to leave the game with a shoulder injury. If Debo's in that game and it opens up the offense, I think San Francisco probably comes closer to hitting that 10-point spread that they were looking at. But when Debo went down, this is what I told you. When Debo goes down, or McCaffrey goes down, or Ayuk goes down, or Kittle goes down, Brock Purdy's numbers come down with him. That's just how it is. Brock Purdy's numbers come down with him. The reason he had 252 is because George Kittle's a monster and had a 32-yard rumble in there because Brandon Ayuk, I think he had 32 yards, but at 15 came on 1 catch. Those guys were making money moves after the catch. They were Yak Kings this weekend, and that inflated Brock Purdy's number. I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, the winner of the Super Bowl is going to be from the AFC. Because as much as I like Jared Goff, and Goff should get some credit, not because the numbers were great. He's another one of those cats. The numbers weren't incredible for Jared Goff, but he did it in the face of a defense that made Jalen Hurts look like a rookie last weekend, right? He did it in front of a Todd Bowles defense that brings guys like 9 out of every 10 plays. Goff stood in the pocket and delivered the football. Not wildly overwhelming numbers, but in the face of that defense, they're pretty damn good. Brock Purdy's the opposite. I look at 252, and I'm like, yeah, he had a great game, but it wasn't Brock Purdy working magic that won this game. I think if the Super Bowl is determined on a QB v. QB basis, I think your winner's coming out of the AFC as either Patrick or Lamar.
I don't disagree.
24-21, your final in that one. Then on Sunday, had a couple more to determine their opponents. It opened up with Tampa Bay on the road at Detroit. The Cinderella season continues for the Lions. 31-23, they knock off Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. Bake 26 of 41 for 349, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Had a pick on the opening drive and had a pick on the closing drive. The closing drive, I don't hold against him, to be honest with you. Wasn't the best throw Baker made all day, but you're inside of a couple of minutes. You've got to score and get the ball back, so you're rushing the offense. You've got to take chances. You've got to throw lottery balls up there, and that's what Baker did in that spot under harassment. I will say this. This game is not on Baker Mayfield. This was not a Baker loss. The defense could not figure out. I think they sacked Jared Goff twice. The defense could not figure out the Lions' offensive line. The Lions' offensive line deserves all the game balls for what they did in the face of a very heavy Tampa blitz that day. 74 yards for Jamar Gibbs, including a touchdown of 31 yards. That was when that one scored, when Jamar just waltzed through the middle of the Tampa Bay defense and scored that one. I was like, that's ball game. That's over. I love Bake. I'm pulling for Bake, but they can't do it.
Do they keep him? Because
Todd Bowles already said, yeah.
Did he?
Todd Bowles said yesterday,
right.
He's like, I want to run it back with Baker one more time. And I don't blame him. I'll tell you right now, if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm going to flight to Charlotte. I'm going to Tepper's office. I'm playing the glass breaking. I'm kicking David Tepper's door down, and I'm giving him the entire 3 years of Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon treatment. Because Bake put something on tape this year.
Bedpan and all?
Oh, yeah. Baker put something on tape this year that said to David Tepper, it's not me, it's you, dude. The loss was not on Baker Mayfield, but the loss does go to Tampa Bay. The Lions move on to take on the 49ers, and then we wrapped it up last night in the game that we talked about at length in the last hour. 27-24. Patrick Mahomes is now 1-0 in road playoff games. Josh Allen now 0-3 against him in the playoffs. Josh Allen has beat Patrick Mahomes 3 consecutive in the regular season and lost to him 3 consecutive in the postseason. To me, not on Josh Allen. Wide receivers dropping footballs. You had coaches making absolutely lunatic play calls deep in that game. Josh Allen did what he could. End of the day, Andy Reid is a wild card, man. He is the ace in the hole. The play calling for Kansas City, Lonzo down the stretch, I thought was perfect under pressure. It was perfect. They knew what they could do. They didn't try to force it. They didn't say, oh, doesn't matter if we don't have Tyreek. Let's throw deep balls. They didn't. They worked the field. They took advantage of when MVS was open. That catch on the sideline from MVS, I was like, oh, damn, they're not losing.
By the way, I love that Nance started off the broadcast pointing out that Patrick Mahomes on the road has the best winning percentage of any quarterback in the history of the NFL in his first 5 years.
Yes, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, all that hype, can't never win in the playoffs. And he wins. He wins more than he loses, whether he's at home or he's away. So, and it's not just him. It's a lot of it has to do with Andy Reid and the team itself. But,
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on it. Item number 2. Step aside, Mike Krzyzewski. There's a new sheriff in town, and her name is Tara Vanderveer. Tara Vanderveer becomes the winningest basketball coach in NCAA history as the Stanford women's basketball team knock off the Oregon State Beavers 65-56 at Maples Pavilion yesterday. Gives Vanderveer her 1,203rd career victory. That puts her now a game ahead of former Duke men's coach Mike Krzyzewski. Krzyzewski set a note to Tara Vanderveer, an open letter that said, more important than all the astounding numbers and career accomplishments, she's positively impacted countless lives as a coach and a mentor. Tara remains a true guardian of the sport. Stanford did not have their best player, Cameron Brink, suffered a knee injury in a win against Oregon on Friday. The Cardinal came out a little bit slow, but it did not matter. They ended up getting it done, carried by Kiki Arayafin, a dominant performance, 36 points, 12 boards on the day. Tara Vanderveer's former players, 30 of them altogether, including a handful of WNBA All-Stars, were amongst the over 7,000 in attendance to celebrate the achievement. She is again one over Mike Krzyzewski in the rearview mirror at this point. 7 behind her, Gino Auriemma, the legendary coach for the UConn women's team. Those are your top 3 all-time winningest basketball coaches at the college level now, and Tara Vanderveer absolutely deserves it.
How many years would it take Don Staley to catch her?
That's a great question. Let's see. Where is Don on the career wins list? I don't actually know the number off the top of my head. I'm a bad radio guy. I should have all these things memorized. Let's see. I'll tell you what, let's do the research on that because I don't know off the top of my head, and I don't want to sit here and make you guys listen to me do research at the time. So we'll find out Don's all-time number, and then we'll take a look at that. But before we get there, let's get to item number 3. Ohio State's going to be a problem. Ryan Day's going to be a problem. You see, Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes are working the portal. And they are catching some strays out there, and I mean that in the best possible way. Their latest, Julian Sayin. Who's Julian Sayin, you might ask? Well, if you do ask, it's because you don't listen to the Rob Brown Show from 6 to 10 every single weekday here on the Fan Upstate, because if you did, you'd already know that Julian Sayin is the 5-star 2023 number 1 ranked quarterback that is previously an Alabama Crimson Tider. Julian Sayin got recruited by Nick Saban. When Nick Saban retired, Julian Sayin wanted to stay at Alabama. But for some reason that escapes me, Kalen DeBoer said, nah, we're good. I got a guy. Brought down his backup quarterback from Washington to step in. And effectively, if you believe the reports out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, forced Julian Sayin out of Tuscaloosa, said, hey, dude, no disrespect, but you're not my guy. And he Dion'd him up out of T-Town. So he hits the portal, and where does he end up? Well, if you're not watching the stream, you wouldn't have seen multiple times today the gigantic, you-know-what-eating grin of the great one as Julian Sayin commits to Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes. That is a massive pickup because the Buckeyes needed a QB. The Buckeyes needed a guy. They're bringing back a lot of talent next year, like most of it. Basically, everybody that's not Marvin Harrison Jr., from a squad that won 11-1, from a squad that had your eventual national champions on the ropes, everybody that's not MJH is coming back next year to the Buckeyes, but they needed a quarterback. McCord's gone. He's out. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to run it back. Now they got their guy.
He threw an interception, cost them the game, and then immediately left.
I mean, I've met Buckeyes fans. It's hard to blame them sometimes.
Nah, I know you may pretend that I'm obnoxious and things.
No, not you.
I was going to say because
you.
I'm not. I could be. I know how to be, but I don't. It's not necessary.
Not you, but a lot of y'all is what I'll go with. Either way, regardless of why he decided to bail, he has bailed, and the Buckeyes, Ryan Day, needed a QB. So what do? They go into the portal. They get Julian Sayin, and now one of the most highly touted quarterback prospects of the last few years will be wearing the scarlet and gray next year in Columbus, Ohio. That's a massive pickup for your boys. Massive pickup.
Yeah, pretty excited about that because it was weird because we had just talked about that guy Friday.
Yep.
And then I was wondering why the Buckeyes were trending, and then I saw that. I was like, okay, cool.
It is very interesting.
Can he beat Michigan though?
It is very interesting because, and we talked about this a lot last week, this was a situation for the Buckeyes where it felt like next year's squad is set up to finally get Ryan Day over the hump, regardless of what happens with Jim Harbaugh. And by the way, I had a very interesting conversation on Saturday during Bet for the Cycle with a I'll say colleague of mine on that network who is pretty well connected in college football circles, who believes that the reason that, and we told you about Jim Harbaugh's negotiations with Michigan, one of the things he's asking for is a no-fire clause, right? You can't fire me. No matter what the NCAA decides to do in terms of discipline to whatever, because of the Connor Stallions investigation, you can't fire me. Talk to somebody who is relatively well connected in the college football circle on Saturday. I will not tell you who, so I'm going to play the hashtag sources game, but I will tell you that I don't play the hashtag sources game unless it's somebody I'm willing to lean on. That there is discussion right now taking place in the NCAA's field offices, though, for a full 1-year suspension for Jim Harbaugh. That is a likely, not probable, but likely outcome that he eats a full 1-year suspension. And that is part of the reason that he wants the no-fire clause and the low buyout offer clause in his contract with Michigan should he resign in case he decides he does want to jump to the NFL. No NFL team's got to go on the hook for $1 billion to get him out of Ann Arbor. Question mark for this, and I actually would like to have this discussion later on. If you're the Michigan Wolverines, you are in a very interesting position with Jim Harbaugh right now. Harbaugh just won your natty. It's been a very long time since Big Blue has carried around a trophy, yeah? Harbaugh just won it for you. But then he comes to you immediately and he says, hey, yo, look, I would like to renegotiate with you. I would like an extension. I would like more money. And in the process of you giving me more money because I finally got you that natty, I would also like every bit of this contract to be in my favor. I would like for you to sign a document that says you won't fire me no matter how much trouble I get in here, A. And B, I would like you to sign another document that says that if an NFL team wants to hire me away, if they want to take me out of Ann Arbor and send me to the show, that you will take a very low buyout to make it happen. If you're Michigan, is there a spot that goes, yo, coach, appreciate the natty, fella. This feels a little disrespectful.
Well, they have some experience with having, championships and things stripped from them. So it depends on if they want to go through that again, because they're probably going to lose it anyway. He's gone though. He's done way too many interviews and second interviews to still be in Michigan next year.
I mean, you're not wrong, but there's also the concept of negotiating from a place of power to go in and go, hey, I got 12 NFL offers.
Yeah, but that place of power is tarnished right now.
I mean, not to Michigan. Michigan put out a T-shirt that said, without a doubt, national champs. I'm like, all right, okay, guys, we get it. We get it. You know what else we get? To take a break right now. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live reading. We're coming right back. Please don't go anywhere. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We're back. Appreciate it. Jacob reports Don Staley has 574 wins.
I found 445.
Is that just in South Carolina?
No. Temple, I think.
She was at Temple from 2000 2008, South Carolina 2008 till now. So if she keeps winning games at a, let's say, 30 a year clip on average, it's actually closer to 31, 32.
Do they count tournament wins?
Yes. Yes. Let's see.
Still probably taking another 10 years.
Sir, where's her head coaching record? Here it is. She has, according to Wikipedia, for what that's worth, she has an overall head coaching record of 591 and 186. Include from between Temple and South Carolina.
So 3 different people researched it, 3 different people found different numbers. So
she has 419 at South Carolina. She's 419 and 106 at South Carolina. She is 172 and 80 at Temple.
I wonder how up to date that is, too. They just had another win.
That includes this season. 17 wins this season. So she is winning over the last since 2014. She has 2 seasons with less than 30 wins. 129 in 2018. She went 23 and 10. She went 26 and 5 in 2020. That was the COVID year, though. A lot of games got canceled,
Including tournament.
What's that?
Including the tournament.
So if she keeps winning games at a 35-game clip, we'll come back to that next hour. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob, the great one Lonzo, on the other side of the metaphorical glass this morning. We've been talking a lot about quarterbacks at the National Football League level, specifically the 8 who played this weekend. And I think this weekend was a pretty good illustration of how and why narratives are built around quarterbacks and how and why narratives often, in my opinion, are wrong about quarterbacks, right? I looked at this game last night, Kansas City and Buffalo. And of course, as soon as that game ended, Kansas City going on the road, knocking off Buffalo and moving on to take on Lamar and the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. As soon as that game was over, the narrative immediately got constructed on social media. Josh Allen can't beat Patrick Mahomes. I think it does a couple of things. Number one,
which technically is right, but it's a team game.
Correct. The narrative is Josh Allen can't beat Patrick Mahomes. Let's even sharpen the narrative and say in the playoffs, because he has beaten Mahomes 3 out of 3 in the last 3 in the regular season. But I think there's more to it. And this is one of the reasons why it frustrates me to no end when people try to tack wins and losses on as a quarterback stat, because it misses 95% of a game that gets played. At any given point in time, there are 1 quarterback and 21 other players on the football field, right? And you're going to tell me that the dubs and the L's are solely recorded onto 1 out of 22 guys. I'm a bad math guy. I am very dumb with the numbers. But 1 out of 22 is most certainly not 100%.
Even a graduate of Steiner University would understand those numbers.
100%. That's an easy one for me. So I look at this game last night with Josh Allen. Sean McDermott failed Josh Allen. The offensive coordinator failed Josh Allen. The play calling failed Josh Allen. But it wasn't just that. If Josh Allen is going to have this L hung on his neck, Does Stephon Diggs not have to have this L hung on his neck? Does the entire wide receiver unit not have to have this L hung on their neck? Because Josh Allen in the fourth quarter of this game dropped not one, not two, but 3 dimes into the breadbasket of wide receivers. And not one, not two, but 3 times those footballs got dropped onto the turf, including Stephon Diggs, a guy that repeatedly this season caused completely unnecessary drama in the locker room, up to and including his brother on the Dallas Cowboys tweeting about how they need to get 14 up out of there. It was not a great look. So, when Josh Allen comes into this game in a spot where he is doing everything he can do, in my opinion, to make it happen. Yes, I know there were some incomplete passes, including one that popped in the dirt, and he had a guy running towards the back post. I said this earlier in the show. I still think that was a combination route. I think there was supposed to be somebody inside the 10 running the cross. It was supposed to be a double cross, one shallow, one deep, and they blew it. But maybe I'm wrong there. That might just be me wanting to give some credit and it was a bad throw. I don't know. Even if it was, it does not excuse the multiple drops. It does not excuse what I believe was anxious play calling for no reason. I don't understand it. I would like to point out, and Zach just popped up in the stream chat and asked the same question I asked back in the first hour. Can someone tell me why the Bills went away from James Cook in the second half? He was killing it through 2.5 quarters, and they decided to go away from him. I don't know. The entire Bills offensive line was playing Pro Bowl caliber football, and then they're like,
by the way,
what if we cranked it loose?
I do think they tried a little bit at the beginning of the second half. And I think the Chiefs were able to shut it down a little bit. I mean, you have to look at a breakdown of the play-by-play, but I think they did attempt it a little.
I think here's what I saw happen. Kansas City recognized they were getting wrecked by the run in the first half. So what did they do? They committed extra resources to stopping the run. They committed extra resources by putting a guy on James Cook, by throwing some linebackers out of coverage and into run protection. And that's fine. Those are adjustments you got to make in a football game. Here's the thing. If you're Buffalo, it does not mean you just abandon it entirely. Because at some point, when they realize they're going to drop Josh Allen back a number of times, Kansas City went back to the original defense, but Buffalo never got back into the run game. And by the time that it was that stage of the game where they could have, now they're in a dogfight.
They also in the second half started bringing some blitzes and things like that they weren't doing in the first.
No,
half.
I'm agreeing with that. I agree. There were adjustments made by the Chiefs defense to take James Cook out of the game.
One thing effective. You can almost always say that Kansas City is not going to be outcoached on either side of the field.
Listen, I agree. The adjustments made at halftime by the Chiefs were perfect. The problem is, once again with Sean McDermott, the Bills didn't match. They didn't go, all right, well, if they're going to bring linebackers up, if they're going to put James Cook, we're going to send him out as a decoy and run some tight end crossing routes. Probably the only guys on the field who didn't let Josh Allen down last night, right? We're going to run Kincaid, Knox across the middle. We're going to throw a couple of close-in crossing patterns behind the linebackers that are playing up to stop the run. They were like, throw it deep. Bleep it. Stephon down there somewhere. Go find. And the guy, it just didn't work, right? There's Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, had himself a game that was absolutely capable of winning against Detroit. But for whatever reason, Tampa Bay's defense wasn't there. For whatever reason, the same defense, and granted, I think maybe, and I will acknowledge that I'm a victim of this, but I think maybe just a little bit, we downplayed the complete and total collapse of the Philadelphia Eagles. I wanted to, and maybe I'm wrong for this. I wanted to give all the credit to Tampa Bay last week for making the Eagles offense look completely and entirely dysfunctional. And now I'm kind of wondering, was Tampa Bay's defense making them dysfunctional, or was Philly just dysfunctional, right? But I thought, all right, even if the Eagles offense is dysfunctional, Jalen Hurts still can get away from the blitz, but he couldn't. And what did I say on Friday? I picked Tampa Bay to upset Detroit. Part of the reason why was if Jalen Hurts can't get away from the Buccaneers blitz, how in the hell is Jared Goff going to? But Jared Goff did, right? Jared Goff did. 287 yards, 2 touchdowns on 30 of 43. Baker Mayfield went 349, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. He had one to open the game. And again, I do think, and I will, as I praise Bake here, I got to put it on him. I think Baker Mayfield wanted to come out, Zoe. I think he wanted to go deep early. I think he wanted to score. I think he wanted to get the first points on the board to quiet down Detroit. I think they took some chances early, and it cost them. But after that pick, Baker didn't really make a mistake after that until they were in a desperation drive to end the game when he made a bad throw. But at that point in the game, down 2 scores, needing to score and get the ball back, you're at a point where you got to play the lottery. You got to make Powerball throws. You got to make big, risky throws that are high risk, low reward, but you got to find something.
It wasn't an easy interception either.
No, that kid made a stellar play.
That was a really good play.
Fading away, falling back over his head. I mean, it was a hell of a pick. The point is, there's a lot of folks that are going to look at Baker's 2 interceptions and go, oh, in the clutch, Baker couldn't get. No, that was not on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield did more than enough to win that game. Problem was the defense allowed 31. Problem was the defense allowed Jared Goff to go for 287, 2 touches, no picks, right? That's why I get frustrated with the wins and losses attributed to quarterback stats. Those two games had nothing to do with the teams that won. I would say the opposite about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy finishes this game. Brock Purdy finishes this game with 252 yards and a touchdown. Ryan Clark on Twitter last night said, how in the world do you look at this game from Brock Purdy and think that he can go mano a mano with Mahomes or Jackson? He can't. For just to be very clear, I don't think Brock Purdy is, and I'm going to take some you-know-what for this, and I don't care. I don't think Brock Purdy's as good as Jared Goff. I think Brock Purdy is surrounded with probably the most ridiculous skill position haul that any quarterback has had in a very long time.
Well, after Saturday, I think it was Saturday. Yeah, after Saturday, I'm not positive that San Francisco is going to get past Detroit.
I'm not either. Like, I'm in this spot because
I might even be leaning towards Detroit at this point.
I went 500 on my gambling picks this weekend, which 500 in Vegas is a loss. All right, I'm down a little bit. Not bad, but I'm down a little bit. Right? Part of it was because I went with 2, what I acknowledged to be very questionable picks. I went Tampa on a money line upset. I thought they were good enough to do it, and I acknowledged on Friday that was my least confident pick, but it was one I was making anyway. And I went Bills minus 2.5. Those were the 2 I got wrong. I blew them. I will also acknowledge that I lost the San Francisco bet. That line on Sunday was San Francisco minus 10. I teased it down to 49ers minus 6.5. Shorten my odds up, but I thought they'll be all right. They'll get on timing. They'll get on that flow. Problem was they didn't. They didn't. And a lot of that is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy got carried to 252 yards. There's 252 where the quarterback is throwing guys open for big ones. And then there's 252 where you're hitting guys at 5 yards and they're adding 20 on for you by going yak daddy status. And I think that's what San Francisco was. This is why I don't like dubs and L's being considered a quarterback stat. Because the L gets hung on Baker and Josh when it is not on them. And the dub gets hung on Brock Purdy and it was not on him. Right? This game looks a lot different if Debo's not hurt. But Brock Purdy is not, let me put it this way. Cam Newton listed Brock Purdy in his game manager list, and everybody got real mad at him. I might have been the only person with a microphone that agreed with Cam Newton in his list. Really. He said Brock Purdy's a game manager. Jalen Hurts is a game manager. He listed a bunch of these guys, and I'm like, it's a pretty good list. Pretty good list.
Well,
Brock Purdy's at the top.
The one thing I disagreed with was him putting Josh Allen up on Mahomes status. We see that's not true.
No, I disagree. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And I know you're doing it just to rile me up, and I let it work anyway, but it works. Because if you hang
that's absolutely why I'm doing it, by the way.
If you hang that albatross on Josh Allen, then you're wrong. You're wrong. It's that simple. That L was not on Allen. That L was not on Mayfield. That dub was not on Purdy. The only guy that I think of the 8 quarterbacks who played this weekend, I think there are probably 2 that you can rightfully hang the dub or the L on. Lamar for the Ravens, Mahomes for the Chiefs. Those are the 2 guys that played their team to a dub. Josh Allen did not play his team to an L. Maybe Jared Goff. I'd say Jared Goff probably gets credit for playing Detroit to a dub. So I would say Allen does not get hung with the L. Mayfield does not get hung with the L. Love does not get hung with the L. Stroud does not get hung with the L. When you are backed by a running attack that gets you, would they get 42 yards of rushing? That's not on the quarterback, dude. If your team can't figure out how to competently run the football, when you're averaging like less than a yard a run, that's not on the QB, dude. The guys who get rightfully credited, Lamar with a dub, Mahomes with a dub, Goff with the dub. Everybody else played good enough ball or get too much credit for not playing good enough ball to have that stat awarded to them. It's just my opinion, man. Come back and wrap up the Money Hour after this. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate. That is a wild statistic. That is wild.
And I just saw another one. If he makes it to the Super Bowl, he will have the most playoff wins. He will be number 3 all time behind Tom Brady and Joe Montana.
That's insane.
Especially how quickly it's happened.
Yeah. All right, guys, give me 40 seconds. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, dudes. Thanks for hanging in there. Two things. Number one, that is a hilarious avatar. But I don't know, man. I don't think the Texans deserve the face palm for this year. You stole the division. You got the right rookie guy. But yes, your take on Josh Allen's correct. I agree. And that's exactly what I'm saying, Zach. I do not understand why they got to, even if they're stopping the run briefly, you stick with that run. You stick with James Cook.
Oh, none of it's Josh Allen's fault at all. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, Josh Allen missed a couple of throws that maybe he could have made. But I'm saying if you hang it on Josh Allen and not on the Bills, that's where I developed the problem.
Common narrative. Your people came up with it. And where's Kevin?
Like I said.
He was on the pulse Saturday.
Was he?
I'm telling him, hey, man, not engaging in sports talk here. It's not what we're doing. But he talks about other stuff too. So it wasn't that bad, but he kept trying.
That's what a good troll does. Never give up, never surrender.
It's a good listener. I wouldn't call him a troll.
Tony Romo dropped a to be the man, you have to beat the
Yes, he
man.
did. He absolutely did. The only thing that he said that was relevant in the entire night.
Is to be the man, you got to beat the man. The most publicly accepted wrestling quote of all time?
No, brother is.
I don't think it is. Brother's good, but a lot of people say brother with no connection to being wrestling. Brother's kind of a general term I feel like brother is a common term that brought to wrestling. I feel like to be the man, you got to beat the man is a wrestling quote that went public.
You're right, but at the same time, do you hear anyone say brother and you don't think Hulk Hogan?
No.
And I know that's us as wrestling fans, but not necessarily. I mean, because he was in the lexicon of everyone's. I mean, in the 80s, Hulk Hogan was everywhere. He is, Steven, statistically, yes. I would say talent-wise too, but I'm biased. Although I'm not so sure who would win a race in their prime, because Mahomes does not look fast.
No, he does not. Somebody said yesterday he runs like a kid trying to show you how fast they are, and I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Lonzo showed me a pretty interesting statistic during the break here. Patrick Mahomes now in his career, a 6-season career, by the way, a 6-season career in which he has gone to the AFC Championship game 6 times. He is 6 for 6 on visits to the AFC title picture. He has 13 playoff wins. 13 playoff wins as a quarterback in a 6-year career. Gives him more playoff wins than the Arizona Cardinals, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New Orleans Saints, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Detroit Lions, the Cleveland Browns, the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, and the New York Jets. I don't know if I said the Houston Texans, but them too. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 teams. Almost half of the league. And in this list are longtime teams. The Browns, the Lions, the Falcons, the Jets. He has more playoff wins in 6 seasons as a quarterback than close to half of the National Football League has all time as franchises. That's ridiculous, right? That's insane. Lonzo pointed out earlier in the show, and I promise you we're going to get away from Mahomes and Allen at some point, but it is the NFL's postseason edging ever closer to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has, at this point in his career, a higher road victory win percentage than any other quarterback in the NFL's history. If Patrick Mahomes, what did you say, makes it to the Super Bowl this year, so wins one more,
Yeah.
he would have more playoff. What was that stat you gave me? Do you remember off the top of your head?
More playoff victories than any quarterback except for Tom Brady and Joe Montana.
And that's full career. This guy is 6 seasons in. I don't know how long Patrick Mahomes can play at the level he plays at, but my dude's not exactly ancient. And I would like to point out, Mahomes' greatness is not in raw athleticism. I mean, it is in the way he can be perpendicular to or parallel to the ground and somehow still sidearm a completion. But it's not the legs that have kept him in this discussion, which means he's got at least another few good years in him, which means he's going to pass Brady. He's going to pass Montana. I don't know what his legacy is going to be when it's all said and done, I don't know if he's getting to 7 like Tom Brady did. He's got 2. Really, to ask for 5 in a row and 5 more it's a tall order for a kid who's 28 already.
But also keep in mind, it was unfathomable that anyone would even have a shot at it. And here we are with someone with the next guy who possibly has a shot at it. And it's not unrealistic. If he has another 10 years in him, and he probably does, maybe another 15, who knows? Guys are playing later and longer.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's a big ask.
Let's say he has a decade. So what? He'd be 38.
I'd say
so maybe a decade and some change.
Let's give him a decade. Let's say he's 28. Let's say he can make it to 38. And again, I am going to say respectfully, if he's going to make it to 38, there's going to be a point probably in 6-7 years where he has to become a more traditional pocket passer. That's why Brady and Manning could last. That's why Breeze could last, because they could stand in a pocket and allow guys to defend it. But let's give him a decade. He would have to win half of the Super Bowls for the next decade to catch Tom Brady. That being said, you pointed out aptly, when Brady got 7, I think most of us were comfortable going, even with Mahomes where he is, dude's not catching him. Nobody's catching him. He'll never be caught. It'll be a Herculean accomplishment for Pat Mahomes to catch Tom Brady. But in terms of the numbers, he's already had a hell of a career, and that pretty much got knocked into truth yesterday. All right. Craze for Stanley stainless steel drinking cups reached new levels last week when a woman was arrested for allegedly stealing 65 of them, worth almost $2,500 from a store in California. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop trending things, all right? It's getting ridiculous. Now, ridiculous how good Lonzo's going to do. Not my best effort. This Sports Flash.
If you think I'm not going to talk about the Chiefs every single one, you're wrong. The words wide right might be considered vulgar. I'm going to do that every time because I don't say that word very much. In Buffalo, New York, with a chance to tie the Kansas City Chiefs and send the game into overtime, Bills kicker Tyler Bass missed a field goal that sealed a 27-24 Kansas City win, sending them to the AFC title game for the 6th year in a row. Patrick Mahomes went 17-23 for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns, both to Travis Kelce. Ryan Day picked up a big commitment this weekend as former Alabama 5-star quarterback Julian Super Saiyan signed on with the Buckeyes, saying departed Alabama after Nick Saban retired. Saiyan has a relationship with new Buckeyes offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien, who recruited him to Alabama. Tune in Wednesday as the Furman Paladins basketball team take on Sanford right here at 6:30 on the fan. On the fan. Lucas, you missed me, disparaging Tony Romo. Basically, Rob defending Josh Allen. And talking about how good the playoffs were this weekend, because they were really good. Even with the Houston blowout, that first half scared some people half to death. See, I don't know that Andy Reid retires. I mean, I know he's getting up there.
was indeed a great playoff weekend. Lucas with the lid off. Look at Odie popping by in the chat. What's up, big dog?
Yeah, he's just no, don't acknowledge that.
I'm absolutely acknowledging Odie.
Don't acknowledge that. He's messing.
Don't acknowledge Odie. Get out of here with that.
Let's not have a conversation here. The only way Odie knows what Roll Tide means, he'd have to look it up. He doesn't even know what school it's from. Not being disparaging, but I mean, come on.
Odie, you don't have to put up with this abuse, pal.
Well, I think
You're like, yes, he does.
if you work here, you kind of do. It's this is what Jason Kelsey does. People act like it was like. By the way, he's not retired yet. The media said he was retired. He said he's not. So unless he's changed over the last week, he said he's not retired yet. So,
well, he's not going to do it and miss to the playoffs.
by the way, he was retired, or whether he was retired or not, he goes to his brother's games when he's out of the playoffs, and he does this stuff. What I'm saying, it's not unusual. I mean,
yes, Jason Kelsey is my spirit animal. Yes, I do want to be friends with him. And no, I don't think he is inappropriate. I think he is the coolest dude right now. Okay? I think he's the best. My man set a brand new definition of hashtag big brother goals yesterday. To be pounding shots in the parking lot pregame. By the way, you want to know how cool Jason Kelsey has to be? Jason Kelsey was welcomed and accepted and drank shots in the parking lot with Bills Mafia, a fan base that was ready to unload a torrent of snowballs at his little broski, preferably to beat his football team. They still were like, yeah, no, you're cool, dude. Come on down. Let's drink shots out of what Lonzo and I can only figure out was a bowling ball.
It looked like a bowling ball. I will say that that those snowballs were about as accurate as Lance Bass or whatever that guy's.
Lance Bass, noted singer from the group NSYNC.
No, the kicker for.
No, it's Lance Bass now.
It's Lance
That's just
Bass.
what we're going with.
They're about as accurate because they didn't hit anybody with those snowballs. So, and shout out to Jason Kelsey also for picking up a little girl and letting her meet Taylor Swift.
That was cool.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
not everyone would do that.
That was cool. Yeah, I want to hang out with that guy. He seems awesome. If you've not listen, I don't frequently tell you to listen.
He might think that you're a lightweight and that you can't hang.
I give it the best I had. I give it the best I had. All right. I'd try to go drink for drink with JK. I doubt I'd make it, but I'd give it the best I had. Caitlin Clark. Let's talk about this for just a second. One of the most polarizing discussions in sports is about court/field rushing after a big win, yeah? For whatever reason, people find themselves very much on one side or the other of the court storming debate, yeah? Iowa played Ohio State over the weekend. The Buckeyes ended up knocking off the number 2 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes 100-92. Caitlin Clark in that game, 45 points on 12 of 25 from the floor, 7 of 18 deep, 14 of 16 from the stripe. Unfortunately, in what should have been a game that garnered front page news, not just because of a fantastic game, not just because it mauled the over, not just because the Buckeyes scored a century mark and upset the Hawkeyes for their 15th win of the year and kind of threw the March bracketness on the women's side into chaos. It happened because after the game was over, the Ohio State Buckeyes stormed the court. And in storming the court, a young lady wearing the scarlet and gray, running as one does in the year 2024, holding her phone up in the air while she ran, because you know the footage from that is just going to be like Michael Bay caliber.
Got at least 5 clicks, at least.
At least 7 likes on Facebook.
No, I mean,
well, now she's got a few thousand.
She might be trending tremendously right now.
As she ran onto the floor, she ended up in what I can only call an offensive foul.
No, I mean, there are several different angles, and even Keegan pointed out on the stream, several different angles that Caitlin Clark flopped. She did. She pushed off of the girl, and then she does a spin and falls down. This was, let me get sympathy after we just fell short and fell to the Buckeyes. I mean, I thought, man, when she hit her, she tore up. She didn't. She tore herself up.
As generic create a character white guy A in my basketball playing youth, let me be abundantly clear. 90% of successful charges taken are flops. You have to show I had position, that person came through me, and I lost my position on the floor.
This is all about sympathy. This is all about, hey, don't look at the fact we lost. That girl ran into me. That's what this is. I mean, good on her for thinking that fast and getting the fact that I guess she didn't come through and help them win the game.
All she did was score 45.
Yeah, but
I mean, honestly, Caitlin, how do you not get to 70?
No, she scored.
Pathetic.
She scored 50. They won. So obviously, just like when it's the quarterback's fault, it's also her fault.
I mean, she only shot 70% from the floor.
I get you like her. You can't look at that and not say that's a flop.
She's a gangster, man.
She is. By the way,
G.
she is an awesome player. That was a big time flop for sympathy. That's all that was. I can't believe that her teammates didn't carry her out. Yeah, I mean, they should have Willis Reeded her out of the thing. I mean, and she's just, it was
let me tell you what
so
actually
bad.
happened.
It's so bad.
Because I know what actually happened.
Watch the video. Watch the slow-mo.
No. Video. Listen, video shows a lot. Doesn't show everything. Let me tell you what happened. My girl took a shot to the rib cage. All right. Homegirl with the camera had the arm up, was running other elbow out. She took an elbow to the ribs. And I will tell you, as somebody who has had multiple cracked ribs in my lifetime, it's the worst thing. It's painful to take a rib shot. That is why, if you ever watch dominant rebounders at any level of basketball, dominant rebounders, one of the things that you will always see is the box out with those elbows flared. There's 2 reasons. Number 1, makes you wider, harder to get around you without overgoing the top. Number 2, if that person does come on the side, bang, I go elbow in the rib cage. It sucks.
All right, I sent you the video, and during the break, we can break it down so you can show me where the rib shot happened. Was her arm in there? Yeah, but it was not a stiff arm. There's no elbow in the gut. You see Caitlin Clark go up with her arms down, like you do when you're taking a charge, and then pushing off, doing a nice pirouette, and then pretending to be hurt. That's what you see.
She took an elbow to the ribs, instinctively shoved off, and then
there's no elbow. There is no.
There is.
Okay. All right, Romo.
Texas Keegan said if it happened to LeBron, that fan would be in prison. Listen.
There are some correctional institutes fairly close that they could have taken her to. So
jokes to the side. Yes, Caitlin. Caitlin pushed off and went to the ground. I'm not going to argue that it didn't hurt. Okay?
But this did not have to happen if you keep people off the court and off the field. You don't play for the team. You don't have a right to be on the court. You don't have a right to be on the field. You pay for your ticket to be in a seat, not to be on the field. This could have been really, really bad. Luckily, it was not. But you can't. I mean, just celebrate from your seats, man. Go out outside and celebrate, but you don't belong there.
As somebody who is pro court storming, pro field storming, okay, I fully acknowledge and always have that there is a risk to it, okay? Because as much as there is the incidental contact that we have here, like jokes aside, as much as the incidental contact between fans and athletes is a real possibility, nope, probability, nope, definite. The thing that has always concerned me is what happens when we get that crazy guy, that Harvey Updike, right? That goes, there's 20,000 people on this court, and I got a shot at their star athlete. And he goes and kicks a knee sideways or does something reprehensible, yeah? I get it. I understand there's a risk. I'm also going to say we've had 1,000 years of court storming, and that's never happened. There's never been that.
That's an exaggeration because I don't think 1,000 years ago that they were storming the Roman Colosseum. Because if you do, you die.
Maximus Decimus Aurelius in the upset win over Joaquin Phoenix.
The centurions with their swords are like, yeah, come on down here.
You don't know. You don't know. All right. You don't know that the Mennonites didn't win a battle and decide they were going to storm the battlefield afterwards in celebration. You don't know. All right. The Minutemen clear the green at Lexington, and the rest of the Tories or the Whigs, pardon me, come rushing down to the field to celebrate. It happened.
I'm glad you fixed that because the Whigs people were about to get really angry with you.
Yeah, a lot of Whigs out there getting real mad. The point here is, has it been a problem in spots? Yeah, of course it has. Of course it has. But this is, you know how I know this is the one-off? This is the offshoot? Because we're talking about it, right? Because we're talking about it. It is what it is.
It's not the first time. I mean, people have gotten hurt when the goalposts have come down. I mean, it's happened before. It's just not basketball.
Here's what I'll say. If it happens to a fan, dog, that's kind of on you, right? If you rush into a mob of 8 or 10 or 15 or 20,000 or more, rush in a field, you take that as a risk, just like you do when you drive on the interstate. The likelihood of it happening is not real high, but it can, right? The only time I'm going to start saying, okay, we can't do it anymore is when athletes start getting banged up. And even if Caitlin Clark flopped, whatever, jokes aside, even if she flopped.
Right. She could have been hurt seriously.
Correct. And there was actually, and I wrote it down, and now I left my notes over in the other room, but there was a dude athlete, I want to say from like Texas Tech or something this weekend. There was a dude athlete who got run into and run over as well on the basketball side. What I'm going to say is, if this kind of stuff keeps happening, then yeah, at some point we're going to have to knock it down. We're going to have to knock it off. You're going to have to say, all right, you can't do it anymore. Anybody caught on the floor, arrest. That's it. But there have been 100 courts stormed in college basketball this year, and this is the first weekend we've talked about it. There have been upsets. This has been a fantastic year of college basketball so far. Upsets happening everywhere.
100 is kind of an exaggeration because there have been some upsets, but not that many.
Hypothetical killer. It's an exaggeration.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean,
there have been.
Maybe I'm a stats guy and I felt like you were wrong.
There have been tens of courts stormed this year.
There we go. That's probably closer to the number.
Tens of courts stormed. And this is the first time we've talked about it.
It doesn't help your cause, though. It's a limited amount. And then percentage-wise, 2 people get hurt. And if there's 10 and 2 people get hurt, 2 players get hurt, that's a lot.
I said tens. It has not been 10. I promise you it's been whatever. The point is, this is the first time we have talked about it. And granted, part of the reason we're talking about it is because it just happened to the most visible athlete in that sport. If this was the second string point guard for Iowa, hell, if this is for anybody who's not Caitlin Clark, if this happened to Gabby Marshall, who's Gabby Marshall, you ask? Exactly. If this happened to, I don't know, Kate Martin, these are teammates of hers. We're probably not talking about it today, but it did happen to her. Same as we'd be talking about it in the NBA if it happened to LeBron. You are correct. The point that I'm making here is very simply that don't take a time-honored tradition away from the fans over an incident. Instead,
it's not a time-honored tradition.
It is.
It's dumb.
I've been hearing Mark Ryan complain about it for a decade now.
That just means he's old and you've known him that long. So.
Yes. And it also means it's been happening for at least a decade.
It's been happening for longer than that.
Yes,
and it's
that
been
is time honored.
Since the very first storming of whatever, sports-wise, it's been ridiculous and it will continue to be so. Stop it. You did not pay to be on the court or on the field.
I also hate when people have fun in sports.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. When
That's it. That's me concerned about them having fun.
awful.
It's me concerned about destruction of property. It's me concerned about possibility of
Is
people
it your
hurt.
property? Did anybody ruin the basketball court?
You know what? I don't own this building, but if someone runs into it, I'm going to be upset about it. Okay. Especially I've done a lot of work in the lobby. I haven't been down there yet. I hear it's
exactly.
nice.
You don't care that much. You didn't even go see our new lobby.
I hear it's nice. It wasn't done yet. You don't go watch it in mid-progress. I mean, I could watch HD TV for that.
Look, no one cares. All right. I like fun in sports. Have fun in sports. Enjoy. Don't touch the athletes. If you do, jail time. All right. It's real simple to me. It's real simple to me. Just stop. Stop taking fun things. Why is it that we are so damn intent to take fun out of sports? It's fun. It doesn't mean anything. I have a whole radio show dedicated to talking about a thing that is in effect meaningless. It is only meant for our entertainment. And people are like, no. No more fun. Can't do that here. Can't have fun. Can't call it the cocktail party. Tailgates have to only be 2 hours before the game. Open the tailgating line at midnight the night before. Said what I said. Stop being the fun police.
You might as well have done that. Yeah, just okay. All right.
Stop
Yeah.
being
Have fun in the stands. Have fun outside the arena. There's no reason for you to be on the court or the field.
Stop being the fun police. Don't tell me how to have my fun. I'm not impacting anybody else. Stop. Texter said, the Mennonites, Amish people storming the court. Rob, you are delusional. I am an official. The fan committed an intentional foul. No flop. 90% of all fouls like that are player control and flopping. Rob, what do you mean? That's what I said. You're saying I'm delusional when I said it? That was a player control move to draw the foul. And by the way, it worked. It worked because every channel's talking about how Caitlin Clark got wrecked. That is the definition of taking a charge.
I missed them. I mean, I heard all the ites part, but I didn't notice the Mennonites because now I'm picturing a bunch of Amish people. Do you know that? I tell you what, I'm going to amend my stance on this. I'm okay if the Amish storm the court. That's it. That's because I want to see it once.
But it has to be a day game.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know.
Man, look, I said she did a fantastic job of taking a charge. She did. The goal of taking a charge, as someone who was an official at the high school level for a long time, you have to establish your position, and then you have to show that that position was taken from you. You were removed from the position.
I'm not sure the Ohio State fans' feet were set.
No, they weren't. That's why it's a charge.
Okay. All right.
Caitlin had
all right.
floor position. She was run into, and she showed that position was taken from
All
her.
right.
That's
All
an
right.
excellent
All right.
charge.
Restart the game. Have her shoot her 2, and guess what? They still lose. So, I mean, you know, there's that.
Oh, man. All right. That was fun. Jokes aside, we got other stuff to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We do have to talk a little college football on the radio broadcast today. I got a few notes I want to get into, college basketball as well. South Carolina and Clemson both get big and, dare I say, very necessary dubs. South Carolina against Arkansas. Clemson knocks off FSU. But when we come back here in just a minute, we do have a Panther head coaching quest update for you. 2 names have now received invitations for second interviews. I will tell you who they are and which I prefer. We'll see if Dave Tepper does as well when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, one more live read, and then we're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. right, dudes and dudettes, we back.
We're still here. So there's a game that just came out that everyone's playing that you can play, but I don't know if you'd like it or not because it's also on Xbox One and it's on Game Pass. It's called Power World.
I started it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was leaning heavy into the crafting, and that's not my bag.
But it's eventually your pals,
Pokemon with guns.
your
And I was
pals
like,
have
wow.
guns.
Yeah.
And me and my children are all playing. It's setting Steam records. Everyone's playing. Like over 1 million people playing concurrently or something like that. It was something that hadn't been
Yeah,
done
I
in a
grabbed it
while.
off Game Pass because I saw you playing it.
Yeah.
And then there were like 4 other people playing it.
I played it entirely too much. It's very addictive. I know, and all I kept thinking is Rob is not going to like the construction thing.
Correct.
Really, the construction stuff is just to have beds,
Yeah.
and to make your pals happy and give them something to do
See,
because they do all the work.
Give me a game.
But you go out hunting, man, and it's not.
Give me a game where there's a merchant and I just buy that stuff.
There are merchants.
Right. But where
You just have to find them.
When you open the game and it's like craft a hammer, get these rocks to craft this, then use that to craft this, then use that to craft. Just let me go do a thing, get money, and pay for those things.
There are a bunch of treasure chests that you can find that you can get a bunch of money where you could actually go buy pals. You can go buy the utensils and things that you want. You don't have to build them, but it just helps. It's as far as crafting systems goes, it's very easy. I mean, you pick a spot, and if you have pals, they help you build it. So boom, you're done. It's just picking the right ones. And I tried something that is frowned upon apparently, and I know why. But there are humans. I captured one just to see if I could, and you can. And he's a raider, and I have him working for. I just think it looks cool him walking around with his gun. I'm not even sure it'll help the next time I get raided because you do get raided, and sometimes by animals, sometimes by people. I have a fox, a fire fox, and I crafted a harness, and now I can pick him up like a flamethrower. And I guess you squeeze them.
I may give it another shot. I spent the first 15 minutes running around punching rocks, and I was like, that's enough.
But once you get pals, they'll do it for you, so you don't have to do that anymore. I just built my pals a sauna.
I also, when it gave you the little up in the corner, it's like, do these things next. These are your next objectives. There were like 3 on there. I'm like, I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Like, I feel like it didn't have the greatest.
Yeah, it doesn't. You got to figure some things out. And I didn't want to look up some things. I finally did because there's one material I couldn't get because I don't want to be spoiled. But, I mean, it's very low key, even while you're fighting things.
Yeah.
Although I got, like, insta-killed a couple of times, which was never fun, but.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Lanza with you. Carolina Panthers still on the quest for a new head coach. We are starting to see some get named. Antonio Pierce named the new head coach permanently of the Las Vegas Raiders. Gerard Mayo is the new head coach for the New England Patriots. Carolina, one of the teams, along with Atlanta, Tennessee, Seattle, Washington, still on the hunt for their new guy. The good news for the Cats,
and if you get your way, a Buffalo will be
And
looking for
Buffalo.
a new coach. Yeah.
you got to do it, man. Like, you got to. I don't know that I'm ready to give up on Sirianni and Philly. I am on McDermott and Buffalo. In fact, I would go back and say, as well as the Chiefs have been in the playoffs, as well as they've played in the playoffs and beat Buffalo, I also think there's been a couple of coaching collapses from the Bills, and that's a problem at this point. So the good news for the Carolina Panthers right now is that head coaching jobs are filling up. The best thing that can happen, Sirianni and McDermott are both retained. Because the fewer head coaching positions are open, the better chance it is that Carolina gets one of the top-notch guys and not just a guy.
See, I don't. I still believe, because of Tepper's track record, that the Panthers would be the last one to hire a coach.
That's the interesting part. And I'm not disagreeing with that.
I mean, and if it was because of, trying to vet them and get it right this time, fine. But there are a couple big names out there with proven records. Whether you like Bill Belichick or not, bring them in.
Nope.
Because here's what it does. It makes you look serious.
Nope.
Whether you like Jim Harbaugh or not, bring him in.
Yep.
It makes you look serious, like you're really trying to bring a winner in.
Cody Decker wanted to fight me because I said that there are 2 coaches that if Carolina brings in, I will be openly hostile to them. Bill Belichick is one and Dan Quinn is one. Either one of those guys get hired. In fact, Friday night, I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting with the squad. The big boss was there. Not Friday night, Thursday night.
Yeah, you
Big
need
Walls
to
was
say
there.
that at
Yeah.
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting.
Was talking to the big boss, and I told him, I was like, if Dan Quinn or Bill Belichick get hired, I have to apologize to you now. And he said, why? And I said, because I don't want to be the reason that we end up with a bad relationship with the Carolina Panthers, but I will be. He's like, what do you mean? I said, if Hoodie or Dan Quinn get brought here, it is going to tell me that they are waving the white flag, and I will be openly hostile to that team. You want conflict? You will get it if Quinn or Hoodie are the guy. Now, I do agree with Lonzo. Carolina is the least attractive job of the ones that are open, and I'm including the Washington Commanders in that group. I think Washington's a more attractive job right now than Carolina. Their roster is equally as bad, but they have an ownership group that right now seems very committed, very serious, and is going out of their way to make the necessary changes to get rid of the culture of the past and change it moving forward. That makes it by itself more attractive than Carolina. So I do agree with you that Carolina is the least attractive job. I do agree with you that Carolina is the last job to be filled. But here's why it is good that these jobs are filling up. Antonio Pierce getting the permanent job with the Raiders is one less spot that a Ben Johnson can go to. With Gerard Mayo stepping straight into Hoodie's office less than a day after he vacated it, that's one less job, more attractive than Carolina's, that they could lose a top-notch candidate to. You do have a problem in that Seattle right now is a very attractive job. I'll tell you a job I think is wildly attractive that some of you are going to raise an eyebrow at. I think the Atlanta Falcons job is very good.
I was going to
looking
say,
right now.
I mean, apparently a lot of coaches do.
Yep.
And we, because how many people have interviewed, all the big names
Yep.
have been to Atlanta.
Atlanta is, to the point
Some
that,
of them a couple of times.
to the point that, and I mean, I want to say it, I think Atlanta might be the best job out there right now.
Because it looked like this was Belichick's job, and then you find out that he's not the only one who's interviewed twice.
No.
Including,
it's not even that.
yeah, a
I'll
lot
tell
of
you
guys.
what makes that job attractive to me. They've got great young talent. They've got a good wide receiver core. Bijan Robinson looks like if he's right in the right offense and used the right way, he can be that guy. Defensively, they're pretty stout, and they have what is almost consensus considered to be the best owner in the NFL right now in Arthur Blank. Atlanta might be the most attractive job out there right now. Good news for Atlanta is, or good news for Carolina is, it feels to me like Atlanta might be leaning towards a defensive coach, but we'll find out, right? But the point here is, as the least attractive job out there, these other jobs, Vegas, New England, those jobs filling up with guys that were already in that program and weren't considered candidates for other jobs, that's good news for you because it takes fewer names out of the the list of what I think we would all consider to be top-tier coaching candidates, right? The Mike Vrabels, the Ben Johnsons, the Bobby Slowicks. Those names stay in the hat right now. And that's what you need if you are Carolina. There are 2 names right now that we know for a fact have at least received a request for a second interview from the Carolina Panthers. One of them is one that I know Lonzo is going to shake his head at. I'm not. Ezra Evero has received a request for a second interview with the Carolina Panthers.
Will he give up running the defense if he does it?
No, I don't think he would, and I don't think you would ask him to.
Okay, yeah, I think you would after abysmal.
It was not abysmal. They were top 10 in every facet.
You know why? Because
they were good.
No, because the offense was so bad, which means they had to be on the field longer, which gives you more stats. It gives, if you're out there longer, you're going to get more stats.
No, you give up. If you're on the field more,
If
you
you're-
give up more passing
If you're out
yards.
there longer, you get more stats.
No.
I don't think what I said was wrong.
Yes, you do get up more stats. You give up more running yards. You give up more passing yards. Those things knock you down the rankings. They were top 10 in the league defensively. And if you adjust it for time of possession, they skyrocket up that list.
Why in the world would you hire a defensive coach as a head coach for the Panthers?
I agree with that statement, but that is a different statement. The correct hire is an offensive hire.
Just because I think you and Rashad have talked up Evero more than what he deserves. And that makes me lean away from him because I think you guys give him credit that he doesn't deserve.
I give him credit for organizing and orchestrating a very good defense based on an offense that did not let them take a freaking break this year. Based on the fact that Carolina was towards the bottom, in the bottom third of the league time of possession. I don't know where they were, but they were close to the lowest time of possession of any team this season, which means that you had the highest on-field time for that defense, and yet, statistically speaking, they were still very good. Imagine what Ejiro Evero's defense looks like if his defense could, I don't know, catch a damn break every now and then, take a breather, hit the bench, grab the oxygen tank for a second, have a cold Gatorade.
There's always a lot of imagining in Carolina for the last during the Tepper reign. Imagine if this was like this. Imagine if this was like that. Well, it's not.
Correct. But what it is not Ejiro Evero's fault. It's not on him. His defense.
And I don't think you could imagine that it would be.
I can't, because his defense was good. His defense held a Tampa team that went to the NFC divisional round to 9 points in a game where the division title was on the line. They held Bake to 9. They held a guy who scored 32 on Philly's defense to 9 in a game where they had very little time of possession. That is impressive, not depressive.
Anything against Philly, I just don't count it.
And that's fair. It's fair. Like I said, I bet on Tampa. And what I said was my least confident pick of the weekend. My upset special was Tampa over Detroit. And now I realize I probably was giving too much credit to Tampa for Philly's dysfunction. Philly was just dysfunctional. Tampa still was all
Which, by the
over
way,
them.
I pointed out Friday was the reason why.
And it's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair. I was gambling a little bit that this team was going to get right coming into the playoffs. They didn't. They did the opposite. They were just still bad. But the point is, Ejiro Evero's defense was good this year. It looks worse than it was because of the amount of time they were out there. Now, I do agree with the statement that the correct coaching hire when you have invested this much in Bryce Young is an offensive-minded guy, preferably one who knows how to work with a young quarterback, preferably someone who can simplify the offense for a young quarterback and then develop it as it moves forward. The other guy that we know now has a second interview with Carolina is Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. Carolina was, as far as I understand, the first team to get Brian Callahan on the phone for an interview in the first place. They did their virtual interview last week.
Were they the only ones asking for an interview?
I do not know that.
Because that is a concern.
I know they
think.
were scratch that. I'm 90% sure they were the first. But what I do know is that after Carolina, Tennessee has interviewed him. Atlanta has interviewed him. The Chargers have interviewed him. In fact, I think the only team with a head coaching vacancy that has not interviewed him is Seattle. And I would not be shocked to hear that that is incorrect, and he has. I haven't yet. I also know that Carolina was either the first or the second team to ask Brian Callahan for a second in-person interview. Here's why I'm intrigued by Callahan. Carolina got the jump on Brian Callahan as far as getting the interview started. I believe they were the first to talk to him. If they weren't the first, they were the second. But they were towards the front of the line. They are also towards the front of the line of teams asking for a second interview with Brian Callahan. According to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, Brian Callahan is, quote, emerging as a hot head coaching candidate, end quote. His work with Cincinnati, which, by the way, I do not know how many of you were with us last Thursday when we talked to Rashad Beard, but I told him and I told you on this very microphone, Brian Callahan's my pick. If I can't have Ben Jones, Brian Callahan's the guy that I want.
What if you could have Harbaugh? You would take him above Harbaugh?
No, but I don't think Harbaugh's coming.
Okay.
And if Harbaugh is coming, Harbaugh's not coming to a place here when he can go to LA and go to the Chargers. There are two positions I think Harbaugh considers, Atlanta and LA. I don't think Carolina's a consideration because I think if Harbaugh's coming back to the league, he's not coming back to a rebuilding franchise when there are two teams right there that I just listed that feel like they're very close. To me, and this sickens me as a guy sitting here in a Saints hoodie, sickens me. I think Atlanta's got the potential to be the best team in this division next year. I really do. I think they're a quarterback away.
It's not really hard to do, but
it's not.
Yeah.
But if you are coming back and I give you the choice between Atlanta and Carolina, and you're a guy who's not coming to prove yourself, you've already been proven, Atlanta's the right pick. They have more talent. They have an owner who is known to be comfortable to work with. The only thing Atlanta doesn't have is a good fan base. But I promise you, if Jim Harbaugh shows up there and he wins 8 out of his first 10, that place is going to fill right back up. That's how NFL fans do. And then there's LA. The Chargers feel like they've got the talent in place. They just had the most inept coaching staff in the NFL, arguably, the last couple of years. Right? So, being last on the pecking order, which you are, but being first out of the gate to talk to Brian Callahan is interesting. Callahan is the current longest tenured offensive coordinator in the NFL. He does not call the plays for Cincinnati, but he does build them, and he does teach them to the offense. Zach Taylor, for reasons that, by the way, I don't understand, Zach Taylor calls the plays for Cincinnati. But hey, it's worked. When Joey B's been healthy, they've been good. The Bengals have been one of the best offenses consistently and statistically in the NFL in recent years. They were top 10 in the NFL in several major offensive categories last season. That includes the games that they did not have Joe Burrow. They were 9-8. They nearly made the playoffs this year. Part of that is because of the offense of Brian Callahan. If I can't have Ben Johnson's the guy I want still. There's a reason he has been the hot seat name from the beginning. But if I can't have Ben Johnson, Callahan's the guy. The problem you have is that Seattle's a more attractive job. Atlanta's a more attractive job. LA is a more attractive job. And I'm not going to say Tennessee's a more attractive job right now than Carolina. I think they're on equal footing. There are a couple of things Carolina has going for them. Number one, you're a trash division right now. But so does Atlanta. That's why they're a more attractive job. Tennessee is also in a trash division. Problem with Tennessee is I think Tennessee, roster-wise, is in the same boat as Carolina. With Derrick Henry leaving and with Will Levis having a very hot start but then just falling off after that, I don't think Tennessee's any better off. So, I honestly think if you're a Carolina fan, even if he's not coming to you, I think you want Jim Harbaugh back in the league because that fills an office, right? At this point, since you are likely last or no worse than or no better than second to last in the pecking order, the more HC offices that get filled over the next few weeks, the better chance you have at hiring one of the top tier guys. Callahan, Slowick, Ben Johnson, one of those cats. Because I do think, I agree with Lonzo, you have to go offensive here. You got to go with an offensive coach. You got to go with a guy who tilts towards having the ball as opposed to stopping the ball. Now, if theoretically, if Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, Jim Harbaugh, and Brian Callahan all take other jobs, if all those guys go elsewhere, and you are left with you need to go defensive coordinator to get a guy you trust, then Ejiro Evero is my pick. But for me right now, I want Ben Johnson or I want Brian Callahan, and that's it. There is one other name out there, Lonzo, that I'm very intrigued by, and I wonder how much of this is on him versus the organization he coached for. A guy that last year at this point in time was getting his name said on this microphone all the time. Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy is an offensive mind. Eric Bieniemy left Kansas City as their offensive coordinator to fill the same role with the Washington Commanders. Lonzo and I thought this is him trying to prove it's me, not Mahomes, or at least I have as much of a say in this as Mahomes does. He goes to Washington. It was not great. But I also say, look at Washington. Sam Howell, respectfully, is not the same as coaching Patrick Mahomes. Could Eric Bieniemy, with Bryce Young, take the talent Bryce Young has and coach him in the right direction? That is also a name that's not getting set. So if you are Carolina, that might be a phone call, because if Ben Johnson and Bobby Slowick and Jim Harbaugh all end up in other spots, Bieniemy is an offensive mind that knows how to coach a young quarterback. We watched him do it in Kansas City. That worked real well. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute and wrap up the third hour of the show. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. There is something trending I really want to ask you about, but I'm 90% sure you will have put it on the list. So I'm not going to say it. P Digits, welcome in, buddy. Good to have you as always, man. Appreciate you coming by. Burn, 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 burn. Oh, man.
I just got a text saying that my USPS package arrived at the warehouse but could not be delivered.
Uh-oh. You better text them back with your full social security
Yeah,
number.
they want to know my address. And this is from someone from a hotmail.com.
Oh, yeah. It seems it's legit.
I think that's it. I should text them back,
legit.
right? Yeah. Edit. Delete. So at our next company event, I dare you to go Jason Kelsey.
Tarps off, ripping shots on stage.
Just screaming. I dare you. How would that have went over at the Chamber of Commerce meeting?
Not great, Bob. I was definitely ripping brewskis, but not quite on Jason's level.
Just go to ramp.com/free. 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 Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 biggie bundles.
I sent you a thing for 2K24.
On Twitter?
Yeah, and I just now watched the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
A couple different covers, Cody and then Bianca and Rhea. Ooh, you can get the Nightmare Family back. Couple different versions of Cody. They announced over the weekend Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's coming too.
Like that. I like that. That's a legend. Something.
I would just
Cody
ask him how
Rhodes.
heavy his lizard is, and I don't know how well that'd go. It was a Komodo dragon, I think, wasn't it? One of the WrestleManias, he came out carrying.
Let's see.
Stop with the Taylor Swift hate. They only show her when Travis Kelce
does anything,
does something, you know, and I think it's funny.
Here's the thing.
And if you if you hate Taylor Swift, then you hate Jason Kelce.
No, I'm not,
because he
even gonna go
was
that far.
in every shot.
I'm not even going to go that far. I'm going to say you're not mad at Taylor Swift. You're mad at the TV networks.
Yeah.
It is not Taylor Swift's
Yeah.
fault that they show Taylor Swift.
You know, we were talking about this. If Elvis were dating an NFL player and was in there, they would show Elvis. If Beyonce was, if Celine Dion, whoever's the biggest artist going on in the world right now, if they're in that booth, they're going to show them multiple times, especially if they're dating someone who's doing well, and he showed out. So you saw her like 3 or 4 times. What, as an artist? No, I don't think so.
All right. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because, and this is true, I don't want to.
We don't have a lot of time in this segment. I mean,
and that's part of the reason I'm doing it here.
I mean, you know.
Coming up in the next hour, I do want to talk about Sports Illustrated shutting down. That sucks a lot and was completely avoidable, but we'll talk about that. Let me say this. For all of you that were ripping last night because Taylor Swift kept popping up on your TVs.
Yeah, Alex. You know who you are.
Dudes, you're not mad at Taylor Swift, okay? You're not mad at Taylor Swift because I don't know if you know this, but while it may feel like she is, Taylor Swift is not in charge of everything. Taylor Swift doesn't go, hey Jim, go ahead and grab me on camera 3 now, please. She doesn't do that because she's not in control of the broadcast. If you are upset that Taylor Swift is getting her screen time, then you are actually mad at CBS or Fox or whoever happens to be doing that game.
Or, you know, stop Travis Kelce and you won't see her.
There's also that. I will tell you that I laughed hysterically when Kelce took the first one in for a touchdown that, by the way, tied he and Patrick Mahomes with most touchdown connections between a quarterback and a tight end. They would then break that later on in the evening. But in the moment where Travis Kelce scored the first touchdown and he came up and he looked at the boxes and he did the heart hand sign, I lost my mind. I'm like, what a troll from Travis Kelce. That's perfect. He knows that if he throws up the heart hand at Tay-Tay, you know they're throwing the cameras right on her.
You know, I saw a thing on X where a lady tweeted that she's crying when Travis threw up the heart thing and her husband's crying when Jason tore his shirt off. And
Oh yeah,
started.
yeah.
You got a little bit of something for the entire family, apparently.
And let's call the opposite of that what it is. Yeah, I mean, I understand that it's happened at more games for Taylor Swift than Jason Kelce, a dude that I 100% want to be bros with. But every time Travis did anything, they went to Jason. And if you are between Taylor hugging Brittany or Jason going tarps off, ripping brewskis in the crowd with the boys.
Or in the background when they're showing Taylor. He's back there, shirt still off, still drinking.
If you are upset at either one of those people, you ought to be upset at Jason for going full tarps off. Now, I don't care because have at it, bro. You've earned it. All right, it's a football game. Let's have some damn fun.
But he's supposed to be sloppy looking. He's an NFL lineman, isn't he? Didn't there supposed to be belly everywhere and all that kind of stuff?
Listen, my dude got voted like sexiest man alive or something last year.
He was in for it, yeah.
And on behalf of fat bearded Americans everywhere, Jason.
So this is like a really huge deal.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for working to convince the women of America that fat bearded guys are the way to go, because we are. We're the best at everything. Fat bearded guys are the best at everything. You want a guy that can cook? Fat bearded guy. You want a guy that can cuddle? Fat bearded guy. You want a guy that can build stuff? Fat bearded guy. You want a guy to comfort you? Fat bearded guy. And there's other things on this list I'm not going to say, but fat bearded guys are the best at. So if you got tired of any one of those cats being on TV too much, it was not Tay-Tay, it was JK that was on TV too much. And as another fat bearded American, I need more Jason Kelce. I hope he shows up to the AFC title game. I hope he shows up to the Super Bowl. I hope that Andy invites him to the Super Bowl parade, even though he's an Eagle.
By the way, I hope you're right on both of those, because that means Kansas City went to the Super Bowl. So, I mean,
If it takes Kansas City getting another one for me to get Jason Kelce hammered at a Super Bowl parade in Kansas City, let's go. That dude, I don't say this phrase lightly, that dude is living, not his best life, the best life. That's the best life. He's got a smoke show wife. He's an NFL Pro Bowler, an NFL Hall of Famer. The dude's got everything going for him.
Yeah,
and
a documentary. He's got a killer podcast. Yeah.
Jason Kelce.
He can also sing, which is, I mean, yeah.
As a fat American bearded man, Jason Kelce is living the best life. So I don't need, oh, that's the wrong button. I meant to click that one. Shut up, whatever. I don't need Les Taylor. And
the other one, we haven't said anything funny for 3 hours, so you haven't had a chance to play that. So
I don't need Les Taylor and Jason. I need more, because sports are fun. And those two cats are having the time of their lives, and I am loving it with them.
A Chiefs fan loves when you see Taylor Swift, because that means Travis Kelce just did something awesome.
Keegan said Jason is fit fat too. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, he's an NFL player. He's got to be at least fit fat. Skinny fat, as we call it. All right? As another fat bearded American, Jason Kelce, I've got your back. I do. Sports Flash.
Wow. You're tired
of calling you a fat bearded American.
Yeah, you started to.
I didn't know how you were going to take it.
Yeah, my beard is not worth talking about. The words wide right might be considered vulgar vulgar in Buffalo, New York, with a chance to tie the Kansas City Chiefs and send the game into overtime. Bills kicker Tyler Bass missed a field goal that sealed a 27-24 Kansas City win, sending them to the AFC title game for the 6th year in a row. Patrick Mahomes went 17-23 for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ryan Day picked up a big commitment this weekend as former Alabama 5-star quarterback Julian Sayans signed on with the Buckeyes. Tune in Wednesday night at 6:30 as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Sanford right here on your home for Paladins basketball and football. The Fan, Upstate.
priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
I know, right? I can't wait for the signs. The signs are going to be awesome. Of course, I don't know if he gets the Super Saiyan signs unless, he earns them. You don't just throw those out there willy-nilly. Close to the mic. If I can hear it, the mic can probably pick it up. Go get us flagged. I don't know what you're watching. Stop it.
We're good.
There was singing going on. Sound like country.
Well, it wasn't singing, so you didn't hear it. It was a skit from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
It was very
Somebody
rhythmic.
put over a video of the game last night, and it was very funny.
Yeah, that would be bad. No, well, no. Well, yeah. I mean, they would probably end up being on the opposite side, though, James. Broly would go to Michigan, probably. Someone put out a video of Voldemort laughing in different languages. I don't want to see that.
It's pretty funny. I've seen it.
Is it?
Yeah.
It just doesn't interest. That sounds
It's
creepy.
like dubbed with people with the accents, and it's very funny.
Isaiah Pacheco with his helmet off does not look like that guy. he just looks like a happy guy that just, yeah.
The final hour of the Rob Brown radio program starts now. This
Big Daddy, how you doing?
is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, y'all. Great to have you. Rob Brown and Lonzo with you on a beautiful Upstate Monday morning. It's going to be all the way up in the 40s today, people. Sweltering out there.
Yeehaw!
Great to have you along for the ride. We got 60 left. Let's jump right in, shall we?
I don't know. I'm a little afraid now. We got 60 left. Let's jump right in.
We got to get to it. We got stuff to get to that we ain't got to yet. Wesley said Josh Allen last night and still lost. And not on Josh Allen. Not on Baker Mayfield. Not on CJ Stroud. A little bit on Jordan Love. Not all the way, but that was a pretty remarkably bad decision to end the game. Here's what I want to get to here. Sports Illustrated, S. Nomas, they sent out a notification on Friday to their entire staff that they were all going to be laid off. Now, I followed this story a lot this weekend, and there is kind of a reason for that. Apparently, there is a pretty heavy dispute going on between Sports Illustrated and the publication company that runs it over a lot of $1 million. And this is basically a combination of cost cutting / preparing to shut it all down because the publication owns the right to Sports Illustrated. And should the people running Sports Illustrated not come up with the millions of dollars owed, then the publisher would pull the rights to Sports Illustrated, and then either it would just be done or they would award it to another agency, and then they would have the rights to publish under the moniker Sports Illustrated. But I wanted to talk about this a little bit from the standpoint of Sports Illustrated. When I was a kid, Sports Illustrated was a huge deal. I mean, it was a huge deal. Now, you got to keep in mind, this was in the, I would say, coming of age point of ESPN.
By the way, it was a big deal for me when I was a kid too. So probably even more so.
For generations, right? And no, you weirdos, I'm not just talking about the swimsuit edition, okay? Sports Illustrated
He's not getting rid of the swimsuit.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still in there.
But Sports Illustrated, even when I was a kid, elementary school, Shalimar Elementary School, the Mighty Dolphins, I very much remember when a new episode of Sports Illustrated would drop. Multiple somebodies would bring it to school, and we would, during recess, flip through the pages of Sports Illustrated and talk about the Jordan Bulls or whatever.
By the way, real quick, my very first subscription, Sports Illustrated, as a paper boy.
Yeah. I when I got to high school, it was one of, because every American red-blooded male did this, Lonzo, I had 2 subscriptions, Sports Illustrated and Maxim. Those were the 2.
Wow, your mom and them let you.
I don't know that they knew.
I was going to say, that's
I don't know that they knew.
2 different kinds of magazines.
Correct. Sports Illustrated and Maxim. Those were the 2 I had. Those were the 2 that most of us had. And Sports Illustrated very much used to be.
By the way, I don't think most of us had. I think you.
No, I think most of us did. You're just very much in the group that would not.
No, I didn't know anybody who had. But, I'm not sure it existed when I was a teenager.
That's probably also true.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, most of us had 2 subscriptions. We had Sports Illustrated. We had Maxim. Those were the 2 that I'll say most of my friends had. Sports Illustrated, when I was younger, was a big piece of the culture, man. And again, it would show up at the house, and you sat down to read it, to look through it. It had phenomenal pieces, features.
1995 for Maxim. So
okay, so
yeah,
that's right in line.
Not for me.
Yeah,
though.
not for you, for me.
Yeah.
You would sit down at the table and you would thumb through the Sports Illustrated because it had incredible features. And at a point in time where social media wasn't a thing yet, Sports Illustrated was your access to the athletes away from the sports they played. It was your access to the people that made sports go. It was your access to coverage of sports that wasn't what ESPN showed, because at the time, ESPN actually showed sports, right? They actually dove into the sports. So if you wanted anything to do with sports away from the game, Sports Illustrated was it. And then Sports Illustrated ended up in a bit of a problem. Social media, okay? Social media started coming around. You started gaining access to athletes you never had before. And I'm talking about in the infancy. Like, have you seen the collection of old Travis Kelce tweets from when he was a Bearcat? They're hilarious. They're hysterical because they are the ramblings and musings of a 17-year-old kid who had gotten exposure he had never had before, but was still a 17-year-old kid uncoached in the way of branding, right? But when social media popped up and all of a sudden all of us had instant access to Kevin Durant's burner account, Sports Illustrated kind of took a hit, but it didn't need to go anywhere. And then it started to fall apart. It started to go elsewhere. That I don't blame on social media. I blame it on this relentless need to focus on the E instead of the S, right? Now, When I got into this gig, I was told by somebody who was a longtime vet, and it is something that I have heard throughout the years, and something that I do believe is true, that sports is about drama. Sports is about drama of people. Now, to me, there is drama in the game. There is drama in Josh Allen trying to overcome the Mahomes playoff curse with the ball down 3 inside of 2 minutes, knowing full and damn well that if he does not score, the game is over. There's no way Mahomes isn't winning this thing. Breaking down what happened in those moments is drama. Breaking down the future of the Buffalo Bills. I think the window is officially closed for this iteration of the Bills. Not Josh Allen, but this iteration of the Bills. The window's closed, right? There's drama in that. Imagine waking up today a Buffalo fan knowing this was it. If it did not happen this year, it is not happening the way the team is built right now. Imagine hearkening back, if you're old enough, when you heard Jim Nantz go, he missed it, it's wide right. Having Vietnam-style flashbacks to Scott Norwood in the early 90s. That's the drama. And there's drama in the game, but that is still the drama. This whole thing is about drama. Always has been. If you don't get your drama from plays and soap operas, you get it from sports. And so Sports Illustrated used to pull back the curtain and give you the human side, that is to say, the drama of sports, in an illustrated magazine that came to your house, and that was it. The last couple of years, the focus has gone away from the drama of the sport to just drama. One of the things that has always driven me nuts, and I know this almost sounds hypocritical in the face of the last segment that we did, by and large, though not exclusively, by and large, sports fans don't really care who their favorite athlete is dating. They don't. By and large, sports fans don't care what movie premiere their favorite athlete attended last week. We care about the game and the things that are connected to the game. We care about, I don't care who Travis Kelce is dating so much as how is it impacting the game? There were people that were making the argument that since Travis Kelce started dating Taylor Swift, a relationship that cannot be normal. You are dating arguably the world's most famous woman, a billionaire, someone who has more money than Travis Kelce, more fame globally than Travis Kelce. That relationship can't be normal. It can't be, by definition. Does it have an impact on the game? Travis Kelce, for a handful of games there toward the end of the season, disappeared from the radar. This guy is supposed to be one of the top 2 pass-catching, game-influencing tight ends in the NFL, and he disappeared. And it is fair to speculate, because the speculation, to me, the speculation about the drama in his life is directly connected to Travis Kelce, the football player, on the football field playing football. And that's important. I think Sports Illustrated for a while there kind of started leaning on the drama away from the field, the celebrity side of it. And that's not what we ever wanted. And so what ended up happening was the sales of Sports Illustrated started to teeter, started to go down. And then a handful of weeks ago, Sports Illustrated made a catastrophic decision. I remember it because Lonzo and I talked about it. Sports Illustrated decided to have some articles cranked out by AI. They had AI write articles for them. And you will keep in mind, the way that AI works is this. It is not a thinking mind. It is a glorified search engine. It just has the ability to search the entire internet and then phrase it, right? So when Sports Illustrated had AI write articles, it was not boots on the ground, people covering the team, talking to the athletes, talking to the fans, talking to the coaches. It was a program, an algorithm that went to the Buffalo Bills message board, pulled the top voted comments, and then repackaged them as if it was an article. And they were bad. And then somebody went and found the code, did the research, recognized that Sports Illustrated was having AI write articles, and then they were attaching real names to them as if they were real people and AI generated headshots. And somebody went, wait a minute, Sports Illustrated, what are we doing here? We want people covering the team. We want people boots on the ground. We want people on the plane, on the bus, in the locker room, talking to the athletes. Hey, what happened here, Jason Kelsey? Why did your team melt? Not repackaging a bunch of nobodies on the internet into an article. That's not what we want. But that's what they did. And then once they did that, once they went in that direction, the sales went down further. And instead of the folks at the top going, maybe we should take less money and filter it back down into the magazine so that we can continue to produce the content we've been producing for decades that has been successful. No, let's get rid of everybody who is not, us. Let's keep all the people that have made stupid ass decisions to drive us into the dirt and get rid of all the people that have always done the work that made this magazine successful for quite literally generations of people. One of the things that I do on this show, or at least try to, I think, is try to keep the focus on the game. Now, as I've said, there are always going to be times where outside sports bleeds into sports, right? I do not think it was possible to cover sports during the BLM movement without addressing it because of how often and the ways in which it manifested on the field. I do not think it is possible to cover Travis Kelce without covering Taylor Swift. It bleeds over. I do not think it is possible to cover sports without occasionally having a minor amount of bleed over from the world of politics because of how often those two arenas clash with each other. But I try to keep the focus on sports. Sometimes it's goofy and fun. Sometimes we dial in. Sometimes it's the X's and O's. Sometimes it's the drama off the field. But it will always be focused on sports, and it will always be focused from a perspective of this is how real people in the real world look at, view, digest, examine, and are interested in their sports. You got people at Sports Illustrated who got to a point where they decided that they needed to keep their money, that they needed to keep the cash flow into the top, and they stopped discussing sports. And it's frankly a damn shame. It's a shame. It is terrible that a magazine that for my generation, for Lonzo's generation, for my dad's generation, this magazine was a benchmark. It came out once a month or bi-weekly or whatever it was. And whenever it dropped, you went to the gas station to buy a copy. Or you went to the mall to buy a copy. Or you were one of the lucky ones who got it delivered to your house. And you stopped everything to read through it. And then we got to the point that people decided, no, that's not what they want. What they want is the celebrity side of sports. No, we don't. I'm not saying it's not a part of it. It is. Travis and Taylor is a story that impacted football there for a little while. When guys are out being a celebrity, but their team has lost 9 out of the last 10, we as fans are 100% going to look at that and go, is it because of this? And now it's part of the conversation. But when it got to the point that this magazine quit being a sports magazine and started being people, but with occasionally football, it lost its way. And then when you had people at the top who said, no, we can't do this. This is, and the reason I'm spending so much time on Sports Illustrated is aside from the fact that, yes, I am a little sad. I am a little sad to see the death, at least of its current iteration, the death of a magazine that my dad had come to his house, that I had come to my house, that I still occasionally would pick up in line at the grocery store and flip through. But that became less and less interesting to me. The reason I bring this up is because all our outlets are leaning this way. This is the frustration I have when I tune in and I see 82-year-old man throwing jerseys in trash cans, and that's the best content you're giving us. Talk to us about the game, dude. Talk to us about the game. This is why I get frustrated when I tune in and I always see old coach and old player yelling at each other about stuff that's not football. Give us the game, man. Give us the game. I understand that it is a money-making venture, as everything is. That's the society we've elected to build. I get it. But it is sad to me to see an illustrated. Zoe, I don't know if you know this or if you can find this real quick. When was the first Sports Illustrated issue dropped? I got to imagine it was in the early 70s? I would ballpark. I don't know. It's a guess. But I guess it's somewhere in the early 70s. And if that's the case, you're looking neighborhood 50 years.
You're according to Wikipedia, which could be true. It's first published in August 1954.
Okay, 54. Now, I'm not good at math. But 54 to 04 is 50 years and then 20 more to get here. You are looking at a magazine 70 years in existence. My grandpa was a golf guy, not a sports guy. But the fact is, my grandpa could have subscribed to Sports Illustrated. My dad did. I did. If I had kids, they'd be coming into the age where they would.
The first issue of Sports Illustrated showed Milwaukee Braves star Eddie Matthews at bat and New York Giants catcher Wes Westrom in Milwaukee County Stadium with umpire Augie Donatelli behind the plate, June 9th, 1954.
So you are looking at, as of this year, again, bad at math, but I believe that to be 70 years. That is technically 4 generations of sports fans that could have subscribed to this, and it goes off the rails because they decided that people want drama, not sports. No, we don't. We want drama in the sports. They decided
I'm
that
surprised.
the people at the top who made the decisions that drove this magazine into the ground, their Christmas bonus, their margin was more important than we as sports fans getting the sports coverage we have always wanted out of this magazine. I
am shocked that it's still existed as long as it did because of how many print mediums have gone bye-bye. I mean, abruptly this happened, but at the same time, I'm not shocked that it happened.
I mean, listen, I would not.
And it is, as you pointed out earlier, is the internet's fault.
If you would have told me, and it could have worked, if you would have told me that the news last Friday was Sports Illustrated has elected to move to a strictly digital medium, right? Or Sports Illustrated is moving to a digital medium. You can still receive the magazine if you want, but the price is going to increase to get a hard copy. Or Sports Illustrated to stop delivery will only be sold in retail stores and be digital exclusive. I would have gone, yeah, that checks out. That makes sense.
What if I told you that Sports Illustrated has gone to only swimsuit editions?
Honestly, not shocked.
Yeah,
disappointed,
which is
but not shocked.
Was still their
Probably
highest
what's gonna
selling.
Right.
Yeah.
So part of the reason that the folks who own the licenses right now to Sports Illustrated would absolutely hand them over to somebody else is to keep that episode on the store shelves every year. But pushing that to the side. If you'd have told me this is going digital only, I would have been completely unsurprised because that makes sense in 2024. It's part of the game. It is disappointing to me that a magazine that my grandpa, my dad, me, and my kids all could have our own subscriptions to over was it 70 years now? Over 70 years is going away because they decided, no. What people really want is the celebrity side of sports, not the sports side of sports. And that the folks at the top who made the decision to do that all keep their jobs while a lot of good sports reporters woke up today unemployed and looking for a new gig. Very disappointing. We got to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a few more games before we get out of here for the day. Rob Brown, Lonzo, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Yes, the Sears Kmart method. Sporting News was great. In fact, P. Digits, when I got into radio, the network I worked for down in Florida was initially syndicated by or carried the syndication of Sporting News Radio. And I thought Sporting News Radio had maybe the best radio lineup that I have ever heard. And then Yahoo Sports bought them, or at least bought the radio side of it. And they were pretty good. Like they upheld the standard.
I remember the football telephones.
I do remember the football.
I got something when I subscribed. I can't remember what it was. It could have been a telephone.
I got a pullover jacket.
You're talking about Sporting News. I don't remember if it was here or Word. One of us carried Sporting News. And it was just such a long time ago. I can't remember who it was.
And I'll tell you, I think Sporting News had,
because I remember the jingle. Sporting News.
Sporting News had probably the best lineup of sports talk shows of anybody. They had the perfect mix of sports dudes, sports dudes, and entertainment. Like they had a perfect mix. And then Yahoo Sports bought them. And I really do. I don't blame it on Yahoo Sports, but Yahoo Sports started being like, let's bring the pop culture stuff in here and try to bleed over the audience. And it was bad after that.
Pop culture stuff, man. Who wants to talk about that? Yeah, I remember that too. The NFL blooper thing. Or like the hardest hits, things that could not be done in today's football.
Ugh. On the Ohio State message board, quote, watching Chiefs-Bills game and they can't stop showing Taylor Swift and they're celebrating, and then they show Jason Kelsey naked from the waist up drinking beer, period, in the box, period. My God, this guy is supposed to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Show some class.
Okay.
Dude,
You just
relax, bro.
I'm glad you pointed out it was the Ohio State message board. Am I supposed to be offended that someone thought that?
No, I was just telling you where it came from.
Okay, all right.
Very interesting.
That was just informational. It was not a jab.
Tell your Buckeye people to calm down.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Tell them calm down. All right, we got a few more things to get here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. We told you a couple of weeks ago, Florida State University, heavy sanctions brought down due to alleged use of NIL as an incentive for a transfer to come there after the situation with the Georgia offensive lineman. Today, I should say yesterday, we find out that the University of Florida is now in the crosshairs as well. Florida's recruitment of Jaden Rashada remains one of the biggest debacles of the NIL era. Remember, Rashada, who was ranked as the number 11 pro-style quarterback in the 2023 class, was ready to sign on with Florida in what was reported to be an 8-figure agreement in exchange for his commitment, but he decommitted from the program after the NIL collective allegedly walked back the offer. He asked for a waiver. He was granted a release and ended up signing with Arizona State, where his dad played. Well, something may have been screwy there. The Tampa Bay Times reported over the weekend that the NCAA officially informed Florida President Ben Sasse of the investigation back on June 9th. Gator spokesperson Steve McClain said, quote, "We have been and will continue to cooperate with the NCAA. We hold ourselves to high standards of excellence and integrity on and off the field because we follow NCAA policies about maintaining confidentiality. We are unable to offer additional comments." Of course, Jaden Rashada's recruitment and the entire chaotic situation revolved around an organization called the Gator Collective, which was the Gainesville-based response to the NIL moves. A contract obtained by The Athletic showed that the Gator Collective had promised Rashada up to $13.8 million, along with a $500,000 upfront and 6-figure payment every month as long as he remained with the school. The deal would have paid Rashada more than most NFL rookies make, requiring the player to fulfill some minor obligations, including autograph signings and social media posts. However, the collective missed the first payment after Rashada signed his letter of intent and pulled out of the deal in January of last year. Rashada was supposed to enroll early, but after that payment was missed, reopened his recruitment. We do not yet know what it is that the investigation is into, what allegations, if any, there might be out there that Florida is directly being investigated for, but this one seems like it might end up being a big deal as well. Florida State has already been slapped down. Now it looks like the University of Florida may join them as well. Very interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Love this story. We told you this one back last Friday. Rodney Terry is the head coach of the University of Texas. Rodney Terry was very upset because his Texas Longhorns were playing the UCF Golden Knights, and they lost. And wouldn't you know it, after losing 77-71 at home to UCF, some of the UCF players, Lonzo, they did the unthinkable, an act of vulgarity, an act of obscenity so deep that George Carlin himself blushed. They had the audacity. They had the bad taste. They had the lewdness to stand in the middle of the Texas court, Lonzo. I'm hesitant to do this on the stream because I certainly don't want to risk drawing some sort of FCC warning because there may be children in the audience, but I'm going to do it anyway because as a reporter, it's my job. Lonzo, they had the Stones, the Rocks to give them a horns down. Now stop, Lonzo. You're not supposed to do that in public. That's egregious. The First Amendment does not cover horns down. It's that vulgar.
By the way, I was doing Wolfpack down. So, I mean, you know.
He went on a rant.
Can't prove I wasn't.
He went on a rant. He said, quote, about 6 or 7 guys putting the horns down. We don't do that because when you do those kinds of things, it looks very classless. That was in the midst of a about a minute and a half rant that came, by the way, over half an hour after the game was over. 30 minutes later, my dude was still mad about it. Now, I realize what's actually happening here is that they lost to a team they had no business losing to, and he had to find something so that reporters would stop going, hey, dude, you're supposed to be good. You lost to the Golden Knights of UCF. How'd that go? How'd that happen? Instead, he went on a long rant about the horns going down. Well, he has apologized, Lonzo. He has apologized. He said he's very sorry that he called UCF Knights players, and I quote, classless, end quote. They're classless, Lonzo. They had the audacity to make a fist, to put 2 fingers out, and then turn it upside down. Absolutely disgusting. Horrendous. They should be horrified. Their parents should be ashamed. The school should yank their scholarships for that.
Words mean things, Rob, and that's just proof.
Terry said, quote, I had no intention of trying to show up anyone or offend anyone in terms of what occurred at the end of that game. They have a good program and they're having a good year. Personally, if I offended him or his program or anyone for that matter, that was not my intention.
The university has prepared a statement for me to read, and I am now going to read said statement.
Unbelievable. Texas, I got to tell y'all, there is only... Scratch that. There's a few things. There's a few things that I am excited about in the next round of conference expansion. With the Pac-12 and the Big Ten effectively merging, a couple of members moving to the ACC, a couple more schools headed over to the Southeastern Conference next year. There's a couple of things that I'm very excited about. And one of them, great one, is the Texas Longhorns coming to the Southeastern Conference. They've been doing battle with Alabama the last couple of years. It's kind of a nice little tune-up, a nice little warm-up to get ready for SEC play. But I don't think they're ready for Gainesville at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time with the Gator fans, with the rowdy reptiles nice and liquored up before kickoff. I know that they are not ready to head down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the first night kick. Because, dudes, they are going to have about 87,000 drunk Cajun Tiger fans who are going to make it a game to see how long they can hold one hand out with the horns down signal up. It's going to be incredible. I can't wait for Rodney Terry to bring his Texas Longhorn basketball fans and team into Rupp Arena to face the mighty Wildcats of Kentucky. I can't wait until Sark brings the Longhorn football team to Athens, Georgia, and 78,000 grown-ass men who bark at him. I can't wait for any of this. I don't know why it is that Texas Longhorn fans over the last couple of years have become so absolutely petulant. I don't know why it is that they have become so sensitive over the years.
It's a reflection of society today, Rob.
I don't think it is, man, because I have watched the Georgia Bulldog fans go down to Baton Rouge and watch Tiger Bait versus and it's a battle, and I love it. I have been to 3 world's largest outdoor, we don't call them cocktail parties anymore, and watch gators and dogs get after it. There ain't none of this. But Texas fans have decided that the biggest insult in the history of humanity is no longer your mama jokes. The biggest insult in humanity is no longer you ugly and you dress funny. No. The biggest insult in the history of humanity is the horns down sign. My man had a whole ass panic attack about it on a mic. They're classless. Yeah, you know what else they are? The team that just beat you on your court, dog. It turns out there's one really, really simple way to stop the bad guys from doing that thing you don't like them doing. Don't lose to UCF, bro. I love that my man had to issue an apology for that. Do you understand how incredible that is? I love that so much. There is one more thing that I wanted to float out right here, and I'll do it because I know we are rapidly approaching the end of the segment, but I think it's important. There is a former Alabama football player, Marlon Humphrey is his name, who said after Nick Saban retired that if he was still at the University of Alabama, that if he was at Bama and Nick Saban retired, that he would have hit that portal so fast. It'd have been like, I'm out, I'm done, goodbye, adios, later. And that he would have taken off because he signed up to play for Alabama, and there are people losing their mind about it. They're like, oh, you're disingenuous. I find it hilarious, dudes. I find it hilarious. I don't understand how that, like, it blows my mind. And I'm going to say this with all due respect. I had this on the prep sheet. I heard my colleague, my partner, my amigo, Mark Ryan, talk about it just a minute ago in a Sports Flash. Make sure you're listening to Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel every day from 3 to 7. I know he talked about it, and it sounds like he is stunned. He is shocked. Gasp by this. Guys, check it out. I've been telling you for years now, players do not play for your school because they love your school. Players play for your school because they love one of the 3 C's: coach, culture, cash. That's it. Players come to your school for the 3 C's: coach, culture, considerations, compensation, cash, whatever one you want to use. Now, if you treat them right, they will grow to love your school. If you treat them right, if the coach does what he says he's going to do, if they fit into the culture of the school, if they are making the NIL bag they believe they should make, if all those things come together, then they will grow to love your school. And then when they leave that school, they will be lifelong Tigers or Titers or whatever else they may have been. Yeah. They would have been they would have been that guy. The issue that you bump into is when you don't meet the promises. And I'm sorry to say, Alabama did nothing wrong here. They simply had the GOAT, and then the GOAT decided he was tired and wanted to go home for a little while. He wanted to retire. And the reason guys wanted to play at Alabama, not all, but a lot, you saw the portal. The reason they wanted to play there was not because they loved the script A, was not because they're head over heels about houndstooth. See what I did there? Put all the H's in a row? It's pretty good. I'm good at this. The reason they wanted to play there was so that they could play for the GOAT. The reason they wanted to play there was so that they could play for the greatest coach of all time. That's it.
Here's the thing. I am curious, and I guess it's probably different for each person. How long does it take to get over or to realize that the thing that you loved is no longer that thing? It's evolved and turned into something else. How long does it take? How long do you hang on? How long do the college football fans who really want it to be like it was 20 years ago, how long do they hang on? Or will they stay bitter till the end?
That's person to person, right? That's person to person. I've seen people who are very capable of looking at a relationship that ends and being able to go, it's not what it used to be, I'm out. And I've seen other people who hang on for lifetimes longer than any reasonable person should because they don't want to accept that the relationship is different.
As time goes by and you continue to cling to what used to be, there are less and less of people like you. So you're a voice in the wilderness out there alone, crying, I want my college football back, and it's never going back. Do you evolve as a fan and go, okay, this is what it is now. Let me get into what it is now. Or do you stay looking back the entire time?
Here's what I know. And I heard Mark say this in the Sports Flash. He said he asked his audience, which I respected, and he said 75% of the audience say that they don't love college football like they used to. That's not what the TV numbers say. It's not. Michigan-Bama was the most watched football game in 4 seasons. Okay? It's not what the numbers say. The numbers say you're fine. And on top of that, and this is something I have been trying to explain to you guys since I got here 4 years ago. Nothing's different. Nothing's different. If a guy like Marlon Humphrey was going to leave Alabama because Saban left, if he was there and there was no portal and Saban left, do you understand? He would not want to be there. He just didn't have a choice but to be. That guy still does not love your team the way that you love your team. They never have. Nothing's different. The guys that don't want to be there, they didn't want to be there back then. They just didn't have a choice. What you were saying is football was better when guys who did not want to be at my school were obligated to stay. Is it really better? Is it? Back after this to wrap up the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
All right, I'm seeing some semi-famous people coming at Jason Kelsey saying he just wanted to be seen. And what I think is he doesn't care if you see him.
Nope.
There is a difference.
As somebody who is very frequently accused of making a spectacle of myself for the attention, I know it's shocking. But as somebody who is frequently accused of making a spectacle of myself in order to gain attention, I promise you he did not, and he was not. He was just doing him.
Yeah, from everything I've seen, that's just him. Yeah.
He was just doing him.
So according to IGN, Power World moved 5 million copies in just 3 days.
That is a lot. That's aggressive.
Yes. And even though we've talked about it several times, it is trending, but I haven't told you for another reason why it's trending. Talking about Power World.
Oh.
Not talking about the thing that you really want to talk about. That's probably not on my list. So
we'll see.
Did you watch any more Echo?
I started episode 2, but then I had to help Courtney with something. And by the time that I had to come back to it on Saturday, it was time to go to a hockey. And then obviously I was doing football all day yesterday. We did a whole bunch of wedding planning yesterday.
I know there were pictures.
We did it like adults at a brewery.
I have no comment. I can't be critical or I mean, you do it wherever you do it.
Yeah.
Wedding planning, that is.
Where's Chris when I need him?
Oh, he heard it somewhere.
His ears perked up.
Well, the room's bugged, so he probably literally heard it. Yeah.
Kids Berry tastes really great. Aren't you supposed to be resting? Maybe.
Dayful Kids Berry. The kids' very delicious daytime congestion, coffee, and stuffy head, stuffy nose, just for kids. Medicine. Safe for kids 6 years plus.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there, here, buck there, buck everywhere, buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-O.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
I changed my mind. I wasn't going to go right into it, but it's just so close. I might as well just go right into it. All right. It is a wonderful weekend that we just had. And so a lot of things were Xing.
Yo.
And I'm going to ask Rob what's Xing. He's going to tell us why. The first thing that's Xing is John Cena.
I don't know. I saw him in a commercial with Gronk this week.
Which is why I think he's that's why I think he's which is great.
Here's what I
because were you expecting it to be Cena sitting over there? I thought that was pretty funny.
Here's what I did see this weekend. Apparently there is. I don't know what it is. One of you may be able to enlighten me so I can watch it. But I saw a scene from a movie where John Cena is acting as the spotter. Nope.
Oh, not Argyle.
Nope.
Okay.
John Cena is acting as the spotter in a sniper team that is overlooking a group of insurgents somewhere in the desert who has already taken out an advanced scouting team, and they are trying to find, they're having like a sniper standoff with an insurgent sniper, and it's him and another guy that are trying to like piece together where this guy is via context clues on the battlefield. It looked I only saw like 3 or 4 minutes of that scene, and it was a very intense 3 minutes. And then I looked at the clip, and the person who posted it did not acknowledge the title of the movie. And now I really want to watch it.
All right. When I when I threw that in there, The Wall came up, which is a 2017 movie with him and Aaron Taylor
that
Johnson.
appears to be what it is.
Aaron,
looking at it now.
So Aaron Taylor Johnson was in it.
I guess that's who the other guy was. Again, like they were both face down in the dirt with like half of their face talking to the other guy.
He died in Avengers Ultron. That guy.
Sure.
He's going to be Craven. He was also in another movie whose title I can only say part of it. Kick.
Yes, this is the movie.
Okay.
And now
right.
that I know what it is, I will get to watch it. Huzzah.
And so it's been out for a while.
So apparently
Yeah.
Apparently about 7 years now.
So I don't think
know that.
So I think it's because of the commercial, which I hope John Cena shows up and throws up all over Rob Gronkowski and he missed the kick. That's what I hope.
Hits him with an AA.
Wouldn't that be great? Gronk can take it. He wrestled for a little while.
They're just setting up the WrestleMania match, and I'm here for it.
Why not? All right. The next thing that's Xing is DeMar Hamlin.
So DeMar Hamlin, for those of you who were not paying attention,
and people are afraid to say anything bad about,
Well, so here's the context. The context is this. The Buffalo Bills last night had a 4th and 9, 10, somewhere in that ballpark, and the Kansas City Chiefs only had 10 guys on the field on their punt return team. And so there was an audible called, and the common thought right now is that it was made by the punt team. Hey, we got them by 2 guys. We got 11. They got 9 because they got a punt returner back and only 10 on the field. And they ran the fake punt. Well, DeMar Hamlin was the one who took it. And the belief is that DeMar Hamlin was the one who audibled into the fake punt there. And obviously, not only did he not get it, but they came up woefully short because of it. And when they did, as Lonzo has pointed out multiple times during the show today, it absolutely and entirely changed the complexion of the game. It's not to say that Buffalo was on their way to a win, but you felt a lot more comfortable in them until they did that turnover on downs, as opposed to pinning Kansas City deep in their own territory and just asking for one more stop.
All right. The next thing is Xing is Pow World.
So this game dropped. It is being described as Pokemon with guns. I saw Lonzo playing it on, I think, very late Saturday night. And I was like, I'll try it. Why not?
I was playing until like 1:30. So, yeah.
I gave it a run. I'm not big on crafting in games. All right. Any game where I got to take time out of hitting things with swords or shooting them with guns to build a workbench and then use the workbench to build a bed and build a door. I don't want to do that. I want to play the game. If I wanted to do interior design, I'd be an interior designer. I want to fly a rocket ship and shoot other rocket ships and steal their stuff and then come back. And that's all I want to do.
I just want to point out this from a guy who played Power Washer for a really long time.
That's different.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, because the game is power washing.
Okay. All right. Well,
they didn't say, you know what you need to do? Collect 9 gears to build this new upgrade to then no, they just said, you want to buy the new power washer? Then do this job and earn the money to do it, you bum. And that's what I did.
All right.
Like a grown-ass man.
The reason why it's Xing is the makers of the game have had their lives threatened by Pokemon fans.
Oh, I believe it.
They're actually threatening to kill them. Without a doubt, it's a ripoff.
Not even kind of. It is a direct
It's
ripoff.
Pokemon meets Animal Crossing, and they put guns.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, and they put guns in there.
It's
yeah,
wild.
that's what it is.
That's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for hanging out to the Monday edition. Tomorrow on the show, we'll talk about more sports. And then like Sports Illustrated on Thursday, it is the swimsuit edition. Y'all have a lovely rest of your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better for Lonzo. I'm Rob. Have a great one. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate later. Yeah.
So the nerds, the Pokemon nerds, are actually out there. I haven't even had a chance to talk to Matthew about this. I bet he's really angry.
Pokemon guy?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So at least he is. I bet he won't play it. It's not really Pokemon. Have a great day and stay warm, whether you work outside or not.
Yes.
Stay warm.
Yes. Thanks for coming by, everybody. You're all spectacular people. Have a lovely rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. Bye.